are live. Welcome to Talking Crit. I am Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. With me, as usual, every Wednesday night is my once-a-week work spouse, Bad Mike Battleotto. And joining us, the Ken Spencer.
The Spence. Or as we call a frog god, Spency. No, actually we don't call him that, but and you can see he came costumed, Eric. He's costumed.
Fully costumed.
Fully costumed.
My Viking garb. Well, not quite fully costumed. I'm newscastering it. So
we don't know if you have pants on or not. We honestly don't know that. So
we don't want to know because then I actually feel whether I'm wearing pants or not. I'm not going to have that conversation.
So luckily it worked out that so I'm in San Antonio for my grandson's graduation from Air Force, and it worked out because he had to be back at the barracks at 6. So I'm here, and so you're spared having Bill Barsh co-host the show. I know you're all. Whew, you dodged a bullet, folks. You dodged a bullet, and thank goodness I was back in time. And Bill didn't Wally Pitt me. He for you New York Yankee fans, he didn't Wally Pitt me. Was it New York? No, that's not Wally. That's not New York Yankees. That was Lou. No, it was Lou Gehrig. Yeah, that's Wally Pitt. So Bill did not Wally Pitt me, and he stays on the sidelines. Sorry, and apparently we also have a Skeeter Green in the house. So I guess Ken Spencer in the house means Skeeter Green shows up because Skeeter has not been showing up for us, just us. Ken has brought his milkshake has brought Skeeter to the schoolyard or whatever, the backyard. I don't know.
It's the fur. He comes for the fur.
Yeah.
Let me pet your fur, sir, please.
Mike's lost already. Well, you threw me off, Skeeter. Well, I tell you what. When I watched GDZ this week, never mind. Never mind. I'm sorry. So yes, we have Ken Spencer on here, writer extraordinaire. Ken has quite the body of work the last couple of years, and he's one of the top writers of Frog Eye Games. We have like 3, but he's one of the top ones. I'm serious. And he has Indiegogo going on right now, and he's just an interesting dude anyway because he has written a ton of stuff for us the last few years. And he's going to give us a rundown of all that because the last thing I read by you was the magic, the Tome of Magic Items. I can't remember.
Tome of Wondrous Items.
Tome of Wondrous Items, which is awesome, by the way. I finally opened that up a couple weeks ago and started flipping through, and I was like, "This is really, really cool."
Well, thank you.
It is a desktop. So that is actually a game day desktop book for me now. After a couple other things too.
Have you found the ABBA reference?
No, I did not. I haven't read every. There's so many entries in it. It's gigantic. I can't read every entry.
Well, there is in researching it, my background's in archaeology. So I did a whole lot of historical research, figuring out different ways to do new items, and discovered that one of the names for a type of robe worn in the medieval times in the Middle East was called an Abba, A-B-A.
Oh, boy.
So, of course, we have a magical Abba, and it's the Abba of the Dancing Queen.
Oh, nobody under the age of 40 will get that. Maybe 30.
Yeah.
30 will get that one. Yes. Maybe 40. I don't know. I'm getting older. So I turned 60. I turned 60 this week, folks. I'm going to hit the big 6.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't like to celebrate my birthday, so we'll just, go with God and and that's it. I just hope I have another 10 in me, maybe 20. And we'll be fine. As long as I outlive Skeeter, I'll be okay. That's my life goal.
Come on, there's a curve built into that. Come on.
Well, Skeeter's he's probably healthier than me, but I think Skeeter's knees are worse than mine, which is weird because I'm a 300-pound semi-mobile, old guy. So
I could say something, but it would get me killed at the next market, and not for you. But I'm not going to go there.
I like to tempt the wolf. I like to throw in raw meat and see what happens. And see, there he is. Yeah, so he pops right in after that. Mm-hmm. So Ken, tell us first of all, tell us what you've written for Frog Eye because it's like so long. I don't even have a list.
Oh, geez. Well, Northland Saga 1 through 4, Northland
Great.
Saga Complete,
Yes,
expansions of Northland Saga for the Kickstarter. I did work on Cat's Cradle, of course, Tome of Wondrous Items, Island of Sorrow, tons of adventures.
Did you do Isle of the Lost Apes or the nine?
Yeah, Island of the Angry Apes.
Angry Apes, yes.
Yeah, that was in my island phase.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what else. Rat King.
Rat King Sewer.
Rat King Sewer.
Yeah.
Hell Comes to Bogtown. Those are some of my more recent
ones.
Oh
yeah. He's been a busy little beaver lately. So, tell us about your new Kickstarter, what you got going up. Or I'm sorry, next Kickstarter, Indiegogo.
It's an Indiegogo. Yes, right now we are running the Northland Saga Lord of Ice and Cold Indiegogo. It's the first part of our new Northland Saga adventure path. It features 3 books, your choice of 3 books. We've got Spring Rites, which is the introductory adventure, Spears in the Ice, which continues the story, and Player's Guide to the Northlands, so your characters can make their best Viking-themed characters that they can possibly imagine. We're running it in Castles and Crusades 5e and OSE versions. This does have some material from the original Northlands from, I hate to say it, 13 years ago. Can you believe that?
That long?
That long ago. But it's been revamped. It's sort of a director's cut. I wrote it. This Northland Saga was the second thing that I sold as a professional writer. And I've grown as a writer since then. And I decided that if we're going to revisit it, we're going to take some of the older adventures, put them into this new adventure path, redesigned to fit into it, and go from there.
So going back to the Northland Saga, this is the first thing I ever read by Ken. This is, and like you said, 13 years ago. And knowing now that I know that you're an archaeologist, it makes sense because it's some of the, and I am not blowing smoke up anybody's ass. It is it's some of the best Viking adventures you will ever read. The original Northland Saga put out by Fire Games, NS 1 through 4, I believe it was only 4, right? 1 through 4. And then later on we did the Northlands hardcover. There's the one with Olaf
Henriksen.
Yes. One of the coolest adventures ever. Honestly, one of the coolest adventures I ever remember reading. A great Viking. Those 4, if you can get the PDFs, which I think we still sell the PDFs. The print runs are long out of print, but those are some of the best Viking adventures. If you're doing a Viking campaign and you want authentic Viking type adventures, that these really are the best I've ever read. Seriously, I mean, not like I said, not blowing smoke up Ken's ass. They really are. They're some good stuff. So I'm interested in reading these because everything since then has been great too. I love all the Northlands. The Northlands is a great setting. It's not your typical RPG Tolkien-ish whatever setting. It's there's a little more doom and gloom. And what's cool is there's been a bunch of really cool movies lately, Viking-ish in the last 10 years. If you saw The Northman a couple years ago, that was pretty awesome stuff. And Ken's stuff leans more that way than elves in the forest and halflings and whatever your traditional type dungeon.
Well, if you liked the TV show Vikings, or if you liked Last Kingdom, which I absolutely love that show on Netflix. I love Cornwell's books in general, and that's one of my favorite series. I really enjoyed the TV version of it. It strayed from the text, but it's supposed to. It's a TV show. And that's the theme. Northland Saga draws heavily from the original sagas of the Icelanders and Vinlanders in particular, as well as the poetic and prose Eddas. And I'll just keep throwing out names of 1,000-year-old books if you want.
Well, I mean, why not? I mean, come on.
I mean, there's some Beowulf in there. Yeah. Actually, one of the Northland Saga events I'm going to be running at GaryCon next month is heavily inspired by Beowulf.
Well, and also, you are a special guest at North Texas RPG Con this year, and I'm hoping you'll be running some Viking-ish adventures there too.
I will. I'm
right.
gonna have to look into how I can get the newest part of my Northlands Viking con rig down there. I just got from Etsy a 28 millimeter scale Jarl's Hull.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yeah,
You definitely need that. You need
whole
that.
thing
Yes.
comes apart into pieces. Not sure how I'm going to fit it on an airplane, but we'll see.
You might have to mail it. Can you mail it beforehand, or is it too fragile to mail?
It's 3D printed out of PLA. So once it's painted, the big worry is going to be chipping. But I think I might be able to get it down to North Texas. We'll see. I just got it out of the box, put it together, put a little figure in it. My kid was at school. Wife was off at the office today, so I got to get my miniatures out and play with them like they're action figures, and no one was there to make fun of me.
Nice.
Yeah, I've seen your whole family at a convention before, and you're not the only one who likes to play dress up. Everybody, one convention we went to get a Game Hole Con, everybody was in costume. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm. And we do, we got into costuming. My son was kind of interested in it. He's a young teenager, but we were at a Renaissance fair because we were looking for something to do, and we had just gotten our full vaccination. Indiana was opened up, and we're like, let's go to this Renaissance fair. And I'd been interested in costuming. My wife had been too, and she was hesitant about the price and didn't want to look silly or anything like that. So I'm looking at this costume booth, and she comes wandering back from the beer tent and was just tipsy enough to buy an outfit.
So you're saying you have to be slightly drunk to get dressed up?
Well, to get that first bit.
Okay, just get your foot in the door. Yeah, there you go.
You just keep going. So they're actually doing, they've gotten into Airsoft, and they're doing, my wife is doing a Cold War era NATO outfit for Airsoft, and my son is doing a World War II airborne outfit.
Interesting. Well, do they have Renaissance fairs where you wear NATO outfits? I don't know.
No, but we've got this Airsoft arena.
There you
go. He just he saved up his money and did extra chores, and his grandparents magically chipped in out of nowhere.
Grandparents will do that. Yes, we're very soft touches. It's really sad because the grandkids get everything from the grandparents because
exactly
the kids are like, why is your grandson getting all like because he's our grandson? But I didn't get this. Yeah.
Well, I didn't have when I had my own kids, I didn't have disposable income. Now that
Exactly, and I'm happy for that. I'm happy for him. I'm a little jealous of his World War II era reenactment Airsoft Tommy Gun with gas blowback, so it actually has recoil. This thing, I'm like, kid, this is, man, I had a pump action BB shotgun and thought I was the king of the street,
Yep. Listen, my son's 29. I think he was like 16, 17 when he got his Airsoft fully automatic. And I figured, not a big deal. Apparently, if you shoot the same spot in a plaster wall with like a whole canister of Airsoft, you leave a sizable hole that your father has to find a way to.
It's an experiment because you didn't know beforehand that was going to happen.
Did not know. And honest to God, Chris moved out. He's back. He flew in. He works for Delta. He flew in tonight, so he's here. But he moved out 5-6 years ago. I'm still finding Airsoft pellets in the fucking house.
Well, I will readily admit, since my parents won't probably watch this, and the statute of limitations is expired. The last place we lived in when I was growing, because we moved around a whole lot. Last place we lived in, my bedroom had a wall covered in corkboard, which was great for hanging posters. Well, I was about 17 and had bought a Norman longsword at a Renaissance fair. And I was playing with it and just lunging with it because I'd watched way too much Errol Flynn. And I skewered the wall.
Nice.
Like deep into the wall, like about 3 inches into the wall. and I got it out, and it came straight back out, and that cork just kind of closed up around the.
Oh, perfect.
So they never found out.
Nice. I was there before. Prove it.
Yeah, we're always finding stuff like that around the house. We had this one spot where I mean, you always have a spot where the kid crayons the wall or something, and I liked it there because it reminded me when the kids were little. And then last time we had a renovation come through, they thought they'd do us a favor and paint it over the wall. And I was like, no, I love to see the little crayon colors on the wall. That's what the grandkids did. That was so cool. I'm like, oh well.
Oh yeah, when we had to remodel our bathroom a few years ago because the main sewer drain backed up. So not a happy remodel. But when we were doing it, we had the tub replaced, and my son had when he was little these crayons that will supposedly water will take them right off, but you can write on the side of a tub.
Sure.
So he had decorated one end of the tub. So our plumber, who was a neighbor of ours and a friend, he just cut it out for us.
Oh, nice.
So we were able to save that.
First of all, I have to object to one thing you said. There's no happy. You said this is a happy rent. When my wife does it, it's always I'm always beat me down because it always means either we can't use the bathroom for a month, or we can't use the back porch for a month, or we can't use the kitchen for a month. So it's never happy for me. Or the time that they were doing the upstairs bathroom and they knocked a hole in the plumbing and the pipe dripped out, and it dripped all over a box of my D&D stuff that I happened to have at the exact spot in the garage where the leak happened. And I lost about 15 first edition D&D modules. Yeah. They were actually in the plastic, but it leaked so much it got past the plastic. It was I was so pissed. But I will tell you something. Insurance does cover D&D modules because I put an insurance claim and they paid it off. So hey, it worked. And I put the amount. I went to the Achaeum and said, "Here's what they say it's worth," and got about $2,000. So I guess it worked out.
Is that Tom Tullis wandering in?
Yep, that's Tom.
Oh,
Tom.
no.
The next old guy we have on will probably be Skeeter, but
I think he's in prison. It was we'll tell you the story later. We can't say it online. What happened to that tall bald guy, that hot bald guy? Hot bald guy. Come on, he was a bald guy. Let's just say that. I don't know if he was hot.
Well, if you thought he was hot, there'd be another issue that we're not going to talk about.
So Ken,
yes,
Ken has one of the coolest backgrounds of a writer. Do you say you were an archaeologist, or you're still an archaeologist? It's kind of like being a Marine. You're always a Marine.
I haven't been in the field 14, 15 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I keep up on my reading and current research, and just generally stay focused, stay relevant. But it's been about 15 years since I actually dug a hole with purpose.
Did you ever find any lost arks of the Covenant, any ancient Indian burial grounds or Native American burial grounds, any haunted cemeteries? I mean, tell us all your best stories.
Well, we had a couple of interesting incidents. Possibly the three scariest moments I had doing archaeology.
Okay, cool.
The scariest moment by far was we were doing a survey because there's going to be a new bridge put in some rural part of Indiana. I don't even remember exactly where, middle of nowhere. Because this region had a drug problem. We had a police escort. Well, our police escort said, "You guys will be fine." Drove down the road and parked over on the shoulder and took a nap. So we were on our own.
Oh, of course, yeah. As Eric can tell you, as police officers sometimes will do, and
so we're surveying a bridge abutment that's going to go in and making sure they're not going to put it on top of some sort of pioneer cemetery or ancient Native American burial or village or anything like that. And there's a gunshot. And there's pellets flying through the leaves above us.
Okay. Oh dear.
and there's another gunshot. And at that point, I was already on the ground trying to find cover behind my backpack. And this guy, looking like he's an extra from Deliverance, comes loping down out of the woods towards us.
Oh boy.
And my crew chief is still standing there going, is someone shooting at us? I'm yelling, get down, get down. And this guy comes out with a shotgun and says, wait a second, I got a letter. You those surveyors supposed to be out here?
Good thing you sent the letter ahead of time. You might have gotten shot.
Yeah, we are. He goes, oh, I just wanted to get your attention. Well, you're on my land, but that's okay because the state sent you out here. So y'all want some lemonade?
I already have some in my.
Did he give you moonshine? Y'all need some moonshine?
Yes, that was by far the most frightening moment I had.
Yeah, I can see that. Definitely. Jeez.
But yeah, we had some sites where some interesting things happened. We had one, we were working a Native American burial, and out of nowhere, a windstorm came through and collapsed all of our tents. And there was a construction site right next door, and their power, they had left for the day, and their power saw, their big, bench saw came on.
Okay, I'm gone. I've left at this point. I've said, see you later. The spirits are angry and we're gone.
Right. So, okay, that's weird. Maybe the wind got it. So I walk on over and it's unplugged.
And I'm gone.
Oh, yeah.
I just left.
So I come back and I tell the crew chief, I'm like, hey, that thing's unplugged. And guy I was working with at the time was a full-blooded Sioux. And he looks at us and he goes, I'm fine, but you white guys are fucked.
The spirits are fine with me, but yeah. Sorry. You guys are in big trouble, yes.
Yeah, so that was an interesting thing. And the third truly scary moment was I was digging a massacre site. If you guys are familiar with your Union history, Ludlow, Colorado, the Ludlow massacre.
No.
24 women and children were massacred by the mine owners, anti-union thugs.
Oh, okay.
And so we were digging at the massacre site because the union wanted us to come out there and every year and excavate it and show how the people were living who went on strike and were forced out of their homes at the mines, at the coal mines, and had to live in this tent city for, I think, a year and a half in Colorado. So, not exactly the best weather. So I'm excavating it. I'm working there and I'm maybe 200 meters from the rest of the group, from the rest of our team who are all clustered working units in other parts of the site. And this shadow comes over me and I'm down in a hole. I'm in a hole deep enough that it comes up to my chin.
Right.
And I look up and leaning over with the sun to his back is the biggest, meanest looking, just picture the biggest, meanest looking motorcycle thug you've ever thought of. Okay. The leathers, the beard,
right.
He just, freaky, scary. And he leans over me and I'm looking up at him and I'm thinking all I've got on me is a sharp shovel and a trowel. So what's this guy want? And he goes, is this the Ludlow massacre site? I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah. Well, I got to do the accent. Sorry. Is this the massacre site? I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah. Can you tell me about it? My wife and he's from Norway on a motorcycle tour of the U.S.
Wow.
Of all
the things. And this guy, he looked like some sort of Viking extra from, was it Sons of Anarchy? And turned out he was a nice guy, him and his wife. So, we showed them around.
Most motorcycle guys are. Most motorcycle guys are actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
They're pretty chill.
Scary looking guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's interesting. That's luckily, but most of the time, I guess, was just boring. You'd find pottery or bones, and you do your job, right? You
find, especially here in the Midwest. I mean, you find there's some Native American pottery. You find stone tools. Mostly, what you find is something that's broken because that's why you're finding it. you break your knife, you toss it outside of the village. You toss it into your trash heap. So that's a lot of what you find. Here in the Midwest, a lot of raccoon penis bones.
Okay.
You know what? See, that's a leading question right there. A leading statement. And by the way, there's a lot of raccoon penis bones. There's some possum penis bones too, mind you, but mostly raccoon.
Yeah.
Because they're eating, by the way. Just
they are. I mean,
not the bones, but
not the bones, but they'd be cooked over the fire, and that would be one of the common things you'd find in a hearth place is raccoon penis bones.
Yeah. I think Skeeter has a good recipe for those. We'll have to ask him for that later.
A guy with a name like Skeeter has got to know how to cook his raccoon.
Oh yeah, his raccoon penis is at that. Yes, definitely.
That's I heard that's going to be his food truck at North Texas. Skeeter's raccoon penises.
Wow. Okay, Skeeter, this isn't us. This is Ken. Just letting you know.
Yeah.
This is Ken throwing you under the bus.
Right, John. Yes, you came in late. You get nothing, sir. You get nothing. Now here, hold on a second. Yes, it's we already touched upon the Indiegogo. So
yes.
By the way, it's an Indiegogo, not a Kickstarter.
Oh, I gotta look it up too.
Okay.
Yeah, we should probably actually talk about that a little bit more.
Let's do it.
The two adventures in this, Spring Rites and Spears in the Ice, appeared in Northland Saga Complete original. That was their original appearance.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened with the Northland Saga is when I pitched the idea to Greg Vaughn when he was at Frog God, he said, that sounds great, but we really need adventures that start around 5th to 7th level. And I said, well, how do you start an adventure path at 5th level? That doesn't make any sense. He's like, oh no, it'll be fine. Just do it.
You're the doctor. Come on.
Yeah, I'm going to pay you for it. And, I had sold a couple of things to Chaosium, and I was like, hey, if you're going to pay me for it, I'll write whatever you want. So we did that and then went back with Northland Saga Complete and wrote prequels. Now that we have a chance to reintroduce it in new systems and with more creative control from me, here I'm gonna put the axe down so I can gesture as I talk.
Mm-hmm.
More creative control. I have more creative control now since I'm a partner and I'm in charge of the project. Instead of jumping into the middle, we're starting back at the beginning at Spring Rites, where you are young folks trying to make a name for yourself in the Northlands. You're trying to get into service with a Jarl, which is a noble, for those of you who don't understand some of the Norse terminology. And there's a glossary in the book. So it starts off with Spring Rites. You're sent on a very simple mission. The Feast of Freya is coming. The Jarl's 3 daughters are going to go gather flowers in a meadow at the edge of the settled territory. Just go and guard them. That's it. It's a fine spring day. Well, of course, things take a turn because this is an adventure. Otherwise, it'd be kind of boring. Mm-hmm. And the daughters get kidnapped, and our heroes have to go get them back because you really don't want to go back to your Jarl and be like, hey, sorry, we lost your kids.
Yeah, what's for dinner? Well, we lost our kid. The kids, what's for dinner? Yeah, it's not going to work out very good. So that starts off in the whole adventure path of the Lord of Ice and Cold, which is about Althanok, the demon Lord of Ice and Cold, who is trying to bring an end to the world by coating it in eternal winter. So it starts off with flower picking and will end eventually with an adventure called Cannibal King of the North. Nice. I like the way this
alliteration. Yes, I like it.
Mm-hmm. So how you get there, you're just going to have to follow along because we want to follow each Northland Saga Indiegogo campaign with 2 adventures, a source book, and then advance the plot so that you have time to play these 2 adventures before we go on to the next 2.
Okay, I like that.
Spears in the Ice is a dungeon crawl in an ice palace on a wandering iceberg in the middle of the ocean. And it's a haunted ice palace, of course.
Well, if it wasn't haunted, it wouldn't be
right.
Wouldn't be a proper ice palace. It's actually an ice palace that's not haunted.
And then the third book that we're offering in this Indiegogo is the Player's Guide to the Northlands with new ancestries, new classes, new character options, special rules for Northlands characters. For example, we don't use gold pieces because there's no coinage in the Northlands. We use the actual historical term hack silver, which means it's a mixture of foreign coins, jewelry that's been cut up to pieces, and other small valuables.
Authentic. Very nice.
Roughly 1 unit of hack silver is worth a gold piece.
Interesting. Was that is that kind of like what they used to call shading when they cut pieces of silver off of a silver
that was like early, not quite counterfeiting, but that was shaving with this whole other business.
Yeah. Yeah. Hack silver is actually hacking up. You have a silver necklace, and, early medieval jewelry tend to be very clunky. So you would hack up a silver necklace that you have into chunks because you don't want to go down to, maybe you're going to the blacksmith to get your sword sharpened. Well, you don't want to give him a silver necklace. That's too much. So you hack off a chunk.
Right. He doesn't have change for it. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I'll give you 2 silver bracelets and a pinky ring made out of copper.
Exactly. But it's a Viking theme, so that pinky ring still has a pinky.
Fair enough.
What if it was another ring? Oh no, I won't talk about any other rings. So yeah,
this is not the
no.
That could be a story too.
Not a family
another
show.
thing. Yeah, hack silver includes coins that have been cut up into smaller denominations.
See, that's what I guess I was using that instead of shading. That's what I was thinking about. So they used to hack up coins. Yeah, they used to hack up coins. And,
right.
A lot of times they would melt them back down, I think, too. But I'm not sure. That sounds like more.
Well, you could then melt a bunch of silver coins down and make jewelry out of it. So, and that could in turn be hacked up into various things. It's a whole circle. That's a whole circle of metal life there, I think.
Circle of life, yeah, of course.
Actually, I just finished reading the book of Ibn Fadlan, which, do you remember the 13th Warrior?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, this is the actual historical text that inspired the 13th Warrior. So Ibn Fadlan wrote a book of his travels from Baghdad up into Russia. What's Russia today? And his encountering the Rus, who were a Scandinavian group who had come down the Volga River. And in it, he talks about all of the different coins that are being used and circulated, and how the Rus, who are a Scandinavian people, a Viking people, how they live and interact with each other. And indeed, you find in hordes, Viking age hordes in Scandinavia, you find coins minted in Baghdad.
Mike was left speechless.
Sorry, I got into the lecturing.
No, segment. I have to. I realized I didn't have dinner, so I'm going to have to pop some candy while we're talking. So, which is very, very unprofessional during the show. I know. I drink during the show too, so I'm going to figure I'm
always checking my blood sugar too. This is the world of the ancient type 2 diabetics.
Oh yeah.
Looks like Thomas Verlo is commenting 10 guys at a party and one is an archaeologist. That's actually, my wife will tell you that we met at a party, and that was what caught her attention. Because one of my oldest and dearest friends, who went to parties with me and was a good wingman, turned to me and said, "So Ken, what are you doing now?" Well, Ted, as you know, I'm an archaeologist.
There you go.
And that was 20 years ago, 21 years ago.
Damn.
Holy shit, our first date was on the 2nd.
So there's an archaeologist, there's a football player, and there's a rapper. I mean, how does that work out? They just kind of all gravitate.
On the age.
Yeah.
I think
age, degree of education.
Yeah. And I've always, archaeology is something that I never did much reading on, but I was always interested in it. And it was funny too, because I think I was probably like 16. My parents had a place up in the Poconos, so my mother would stay there for summer and she'd garden. And gardening means turning over the garden.
Mm-hmm.
And your mother's not turning over the garden when you're 16. You are turning over the effing garden when you're 16. And I turned it over, and it's rocky soil. It's the Poconos. It's a lot of lighter rocks, a lot of clay. It's a very clay-like soil. And I found something. I was like, "Oh, this has you found it." It's like, this is something. This is an Indian artifact, and I'm looking at it. It fits upon my hand. I can see that one side is kind of like broken down a little bit. There's a notch in it. I'm already imagining, oh, this is like, I don't know. They were using this to like skin venison. This used to be sharper. 10 years later, I go to the local museum up in Holmesdale, PA at the county seat, and they have an Indian canoe, and they have all these fishing weights around it. I went, oh my God, it's a fucking fishing weight for that net. Here I am thinking it's something that was really excitingly used. I'm like, there must be thousands of these around the area, because how many of these nets were lost? How many of these stones? It was a perfect match. I was like, I could pull it out and go, I found a fishing weight. You wanted something that was going to be like somebody's axe head or something like that? No. It was a fishing weight.
You find arrowheads all the time.
Oh, yeah.
All the time, especially in farm country, because they get plowed up.
Yep.
Yeah, I had an arrowhead.
Yeah,
I had an arrowhead story when we were kids. We found one in South Padre Island. There was an Indian tribe that lived on South Padre Island. They're actually cannibals too, which is cool.
Ooh.
And we were all excited, brought it into town, and my mom's like, show the guy there the stuff he found. And I'm looking, and he's got a box of them behind the counter. He's selling them for like $1 each. I'm like, okay. Well, apparently these aren't as rare. I thought this is going to be super rare and super cool, this and that. But yeah, like you said, they find, and it's weird that they're just everywhere. This was a stone arrowhead, not a bone, but it was a stone arrowhead. I was all excited. I'm sure I have it in a drawer somewhere at home, but I was so excited to find it and so disillusioned when I saw the guy had a box of them back there. Like, oh, he probably pays $0.25 piece for them because he was selling them for $1. I'm like, okay, great.
Pottery is the big thing to find because it doesn't survive very long, and even a small shard of it doesn't turn up very often.
Oh wow, interesting.
Especially here in the Midwest, because the pottery, the way they fired it. It's not as solid as and long lasting of a pot.
So let me ask you a question, Ken. And if you don't know, you don't know it, because I don't know it. I read these articles, but you always read these cool articles about where some guy in England turns over a pot of gold coins, or somebody on the beach walking down. Hey, look, and they dig and they find some gold coins or whatever. What's the scoop on that? Does that belong to the person that finds it? Does it depend on where it's at? What do you do with them? I mean, obviously, you don't just melt them down. I mean, you put them in a museum, right?
Well, in the U.S., a lot of it depends on its age. So anything that is pre-1492, thus pre-contact or pre-Columbian, generally you can think of as prehistoric. And later, depending on at what point the local Native American nations were first had contact with Europeans, is protected by federal law. So if it's protected by federal law, if it's associated with the burial.
Okay.
If it's associated with the burial, then it belongs to whoever that burial belongs to, whatever group that is. Now, anything else, if it's on your land, it's yours. If it's on public land, it's the government's.
So even if you find it on public land, you're screwed. You're turning it back over to the government. They can give it to a museum or wherever they want to do with it. Yeah,
exactly. But if it's private land, it belongs to whoever's land that is. Unless it's associated with the burial, then it's federally protected. And that gets very complicated because the two big examples is that here in Indiana, the main cultural group here were the Miami. Well, they're not a federally recognized or protected nation. They were rounded up and sent off to Oklahoma, and they're not recognized. So if you find a burial here, it should go to the Miami, but the Miami aren't federally recognized. but really and truly, you should repatriate that body to someone.
So the Native Americans get screwed again. Nice. Yeah.
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
Then you've got situations where if it's found on a reservation, it belongs to whatever group, whatever nation has that owns that reservation, right? But what if the person found on that reservation obviously doesn't belong to that cultural group? So the Navajo have a huge reservation, and some of their land used to be the land belonging to some of the Pueblos or the Hopi, and their burials end up in Navajo hands.
Wow. So if you're excavating a Hopi site, because they the Hopi or the Pueblos had the
both
places in the mountain, the caves or whatever, and they find it, it's like it belongs to Navajo now because even though it's not Navajo. Wow. Okay.
And it gets even more complex in some other parts of the country.
Wow.
Well, there goes my thoughts about getting rich on finding a pot of gold, except that now that I've talked to Ken, I'm not saying that I would melt it down and do something with it, but I'm thinking that's my best option unless I want the government to get it. So
that doesn't even work anymore. You can't just
really?
melt it down because we can now trace where gold comes from based upon its molecular study, because different mines, different sources will have different molecular properties associated with the gold, because there's no gold that's 100% pure.
So if I think I'm being smart and I melt it down to ingots and I bring it to the gold and silver warehouse downtown and I sell it, I could get a knock on my door a year later from the government going, we came across these things and it appears you sold them to the gold and silver warehouse, and we want to know where you got that gold.
Exactly.
Because, great.
Read up on the wreck of the Atocha, which was a Spanish treasure galleon that went down off the Florida Keys.
I read what's the book called? Gold in the Deep Blue Sea or something like that. Was that the Atocha, or was that another ship?
No,
that's a really good book.
It's about what was it? The America? That was during the
yes, that was great. That's a great story. That's very interesting. I think that at the time that was the largest gold find ever from a wreck, and so that was a conquistador gold, I believe.
The America was a steamship coming back from.
That's right. Okay,
rush from the 49.
It's been so long since I've read the book, but it was a great. That was a great book.
The Atocha. I actually have a piece of gold from the Atocha.
Oh, nice.
The peseta.
Ooh.
Just melt a bunch of gold to launder the swatches, but I bet they could still find a little trace of the original gold in there is the problem. So, but yeah, then you have to buy up a bunch of extra gold, man. So you're buying gold to launder the gold you already have. This sounds like
that's not worth it.
Yeah, it sounds like a bad heist novel that you could get really screwed on. We got to steal some gold to melt the gold, dude. Don't you understand?
Right. So you steal the gold and melt it, and you mix it with the gold you found, and maybe they won't be able to trace it back.
But then you got to get more fresher gold. How do we get fresher gold, man? Well, there's a millionaire that has Cougarans in the same. See, it's a heist novel that writes itself.
Yeah, there you go. That's a Netflix original movie right there.
So you on federal land, you find this big chunk of gold, and then you're about to do that, and somebody says, "No, wait, they can trace it." Well, that means we got to rob the billionaire drug guy over here if it's Cougarans. Mix it together.
No, just got to play a D&D session for experience points, man.
Yeah, I think you're onto something, Mike. This is a Netflix
movie.
I'm seeing Samuel L. Jackson, Ryan Reynolds.
I don't know if I want the MF word that much in my movie, but what the hell? Actually, can we say that? We can say that on your stream, right, Eric, or not? Can we say MF?
I get in trouble with my mother if I say MF.
All right,
I can say fuck and just get a look.
But you just can't say MF.
Oh, no. Then you get the look of death. It's like,
so one of the best lines you mentioned too Samuel Jackson, Ryan Reynolds. The best lines is the movie where it's Hitman's bodyguard. And he's drinking and he goes, he single-handedly ruined the word MF for me. That's just such a great line. Single-handedly ruined the word MF for me.
Our son's 14 and he's been raised that they're not bad words, they're adult words.
Okay.
You know, that sort of thing. Because I'm a writer, his grandfather's a writer. His grandfather's a writer and a sailor, so you can imagine how he talks. But there are words that are adults, and adults use them. And there are words that kids can use. And you can't use adult words without, you just don't. And then eventually he got older, like you can use them with permission.
Right.
And he's 14 and he drops the F-bomb in front of his mom. My wife's like, "What did you say?" And he's like, "What do you mean, what did I say?"
I don't know saying a word. Well, listen, my F-bomb story was with my niece. She was probably about a year and a half, 2, if that, just learning to talk. And she loved trains. So I took her to an train overpass on Long Island Railroad by me. It was a late spring day. I was wearing my Tevas. The stairs are like, I don't know, 90 years old. I scraped my toe on the bottom of the stairs, cement, and I went, "Ouch, fuck." And she looked at me and I said, "Uncle hurt himself. Don't say that word." And she's like, 3 weeks later, I'm at work. I had a desk job and for the PD. And my cell phone rings, and it's my sister. I'm like, "Oh." And I say, "Hey, Nat." And she never called me during the day. It was usually after my shift, whatever. And she's like, "Hey, guess what your goddaughter did today?" I went, "Oh." Well, I didn't know what it was, but when you hear goddaughter, not what your niece did. I'm like, "Well, what happened?" "Well, she was on the swings in the backyard, and she decided to get off the swings, but she was on the upswing when she decided to get off. And she fell down and scraped her knee." I'm like, "Is she okay?" "Oh, yeah, she's okay. But she went, ouch, fuck." I'm like, "Excuse me?" "That's what I said." I said, "What did you say?" She says, "Ouch, fuck." "Where did you learn that from?" "Uncle."
Threw you under the bus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I had to tell my sister, I go, "Listen, she held on to those words for nearly a month, waiting for the appropriate moment to use them. She knew pain, ouch, fuck." So I said, "That's a kid that's going to go far in the world."
Yeah, sounds perfectly logical to me. I would have allowed that one.
I was still in trouble for teaching that kid the F word. So God help me.
So Ken, we just had the recent OGL kerfuffle, and I would assume this Indiegogo's been in the pipe for a while.
Yes, it has.
Were you having some sweating moments when that happened? Going, "Oh."
I think we all were in the industry. Because in addition to being a partner at Frog God Games, I run Why Not Games, and we have 5e projects at Why Not Games that are underway, and 5e products that are published. And looking at it at the start of the year and going, okay, so am I going to have to sell everything? Am I going to have to pull books from the warehouse? What's going to go on here? And I've been writing professionally for many years now. So this is my bread and butter. This is my day job. You know, a lot of people in the industry, you know, they are part-timers. But this is my full-time, day-to-day, 9 to 5 sort of job. So I'm watching my career fall apart. I'm watching the business that I'm a partner of and the business that I own look like they're going to go down the drain. And yeah, it was an oh shit moment. It was a using grown-up words day.
And here I am, you and Zach and everybody else is sleeping. I'm sitting on a gold mine in my garage because all this stuff's about to be out of print, never to be reprinted. I was telling my wife, I'm really sad, but I could be really rich in about a year because everything I have is going to quadruple in value.
Right.
You can't get it anymore. But I'm glad it happened the way it did, because I'd rather not be rich and have OSR stuff being published than be rich and have all my friends out of work and but the company I work for destroyed, and general mayhem in the industry. So
and it caused a lot of scrambling. But there are, even in the midst of it, there were options. My wife runs Why Not Games with me, And we sat down and we looked at what our options were. And one of the things we clued in on is that we have been, for our home games, for our Sunday afternoon game, that's just for fun, just with friends, no play testing, no work sort of thing. We've been playing Savage Worlds for a long time.
Sure.
And we hit on, well, we are not married to 5e. We're not married to OSR. We have other options. Not that we want to give up 5e or OSR publication, but there are options out there. And this, I think, is a spur for us as a publisher, for Why Not Games as a publisher, and for a lot of other small publishers. And I think for a lot of fans to go, okay, what are my options?
And I think a lot of people were looking at that Savage Worlds option because, and that's why this is the boneheaded move of all boneheaded moves, because WotC wasn't going to shut down the third-party industry. They were just going to drive it to other avenues. Once the dust cleared, if they had stuck with this, Frog Gods would, okay, well, we're going to do Black Flag, or we're going to do Savage Worlds, or any number of other systems, or let's write our own system. We have some of the smartest guys in the industry work for Frog Gods. So it wasn't going to shut it down like I think they thought it was going to shut it down. It was just going to divide up into all these little fiefdoms. And honestly, I think that they've already done that anyway, because now you got so many people saying, well, what else is out there besides, D&D? Well, there's a lot of systems out there. There's some good systems out there. And so whatever their intention, they really screwed it up, because now people out there.
Yeah. It's going to be good, I think, for the industry and for the hobby, because the D&D boom for the past 10 years has been awesome. Yeah. It has been great. The fact that I've walked through, of all places, as all general mainstream as you can think of, as Kohl's, and saw D&D branded stuff.
Right.
The fact that there are so many more people coming into the hobby, so many more people coming into the industry, that we're getting a revitalization of something that has been strong but could be stronger for so long.
Right.
I think that's great. And now I think WotC has done us all a favor, because they haven't crushed us. They made us all go, okay, well, there's millions of more players out there, and millions of more players have gone, what else have you got?
Yeah.
Right. They forged their competition in fire. They put heat to them, and they didn't melt, they didn't break, it didn't get brittle. They came together. I mentioned this before. When this shit started going down with the OGL, when that leak came out, we started hearing about it and confirming that the OGL 1.1 leak, when we weren't being gaslit. It said draft, but every contract is a draft until it's signed. So give me it. But it was legit. I was getting contacted from people that behind their walled gardens, or somebody else's walled garden, didn't usually have much nice to say about me. And no walled garden is ever secure, so trust me, I know what to say. But reaching out to me because we were all in the same boat as a community. You need all the allies you can get, and you need the influence that you can pull. And we did a great job as a community with that. Don't get me wrong. But it certainly brought people together that I would not have expected, brought publishers together that I would never have expected.
It was an amazing come together of every philosophy of gaming, every political whatever.
Yeah.
It all just came together. People said, look, this is an existential threat to our hobby. We need to deal with it. And I thought that was pretty encouraging. I thought that was very encouraging, the way people came together.
Exactly. Gamers are going to game. And I think we've seen that time and time again. When you've been in this industry as long as I have, you see things like there was a lot of doom and gloom in 2008, because a lot at the time, and continuing to today, middle-class disposable income drives the industry.
Yep.
And when you see that evaporating, there's a lot of fear there.
Sure.
Well, what happened? Well, maybe people didn't buy as much, but they still bought. They bought a PDF instead of a print. We kept going. The pandemic. Did you see how many miniature companies had booming sales?
Mm-hmm.
You're stuck at home. I can't game. Well, you know what? I've got 400 minis.
I can paint.
Case in point, right here.
Case in point, I'm going to sit there and paint. I'm going to do something. Gamers are going to game. VTT took off during the pandemic because gamers are going to game. And WotC can't stop us. An economic downturn's not going to stop us. We're going to keep going. And I think that's what we have seen yet again with this OGL kerfuffle.
It's not an industry. I think WotC got a kick in the nads, realizing this is not an industry that you can halt and say. And I saw, actually, of all people, Janelle Jaquays had a really good post on this last week about how the one thing that gaming has going for it is it's technology proof. Because yes, if you can move to VTT, you can move to VR, this and that, but every time you come up with a new technology, look, we've been in the game. I mean, Ken and Eric and I for decades. Gaming has changed, and the technology for gaming has changed, but gaming itself has not changed. No. You need a rule book, a pen and a pencil, some dice, and paper, and that's it. And that's the one thing that it has over. WotC going, okay, we're going to move everything VTT. Well, VTT might only be around for 5 more years, and then something more amazing might come. I mean, nothing is technology proof except for things like gaming. I mean, music. I mean, there's a few things that no matter what you do, you're always going to come back to. There's a guy with a guitar making a song, or there's a guy with a rule book making a dungeon. And I think they didn't see that, or they didn't think about it, or they didn't explicate it enough, or their advisors gave bad advice.
I would guess the people making the decisions aren't gamers.
They aren't. I can guarantee you.
No, that's pretty much.
I would think that they've never sat around the table and thrown dice, or if they have, they've done it once or twice at a boardroom meeting, so they know what they were selling. And they've never. Well, I'll give you a prime example from just last month. Okay.
All right. Inside info from Ken. Thank you.
Good friend of mine. Good friend. 2 good friends of mine. Part of a regular gaming group. They lost their house in a fire. And the first people to respond and start helping them out and setting them up with what they need was their gaming group. Because that's what gaming groups are.
Sure.
He doesn't understand you're not dealing with a community on the internet. You're dealing with hundreds of thousands of little groups of half a dozen people who see each other every week and are close knit, and who are used to pretending to be heroes for 6 hours once a week and to fight the evil overlord. And if you give them an evil overlord to fight and a cause to fight for, they're going to do it for real. They're going to be the heroes if you give them the chance.
This whole thing has been an amazing failure of PR, an amazing failure of, like you said, Ken, just misjudging who your market audience is. And you're absolutely correct. And that's why this is, and Eric and I talk about this all the time last month. By the way, thanks for all the new subscriptions, WotC. We really appreciate you driving people to our channel.
It's over Mike's head, just
Yes, but I mean, they majorly misjudge us because they've actually done permanent damage to their brand. Now, it may not be fatal damage. It probably isn't. Right. They're probably going to do fine. But they've lost us.
Bank of America is predicting 29% share cut.
They have done permanent damage to their brand in the form of people who were probably on the edge anyway, or maybe they just dabbled in D&D, or that are just like, I just canceled my D&D Beyond subscription. I like 5th edition fine. I don't need to buy one D&D one. I mean, 5th edition. Right. 5th edition is the best selling version of the game ever created. I guess WotC would like to think that 6th edition will be better, but we have no proof of that yet. We don't know what we're facing. It could be a 4E. It could be a 5E. We don't know. So they've done permanent damage to their brand by misjudging the market. It's a warning for game companies forever. don't put the non-creatives, in charge of doing that.
They've done this before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a very strong 4E vibe from this, and not so much. I don't think D&D 1 or whatever they want to call it is going to be mechanically like that. I'm seeing a lot of the GSL, a lot of the let's make bad decisions that are based not on an understanding of our industry or the community that we're serving, but based upon whatever the current theory is coming out of business schools of how you run a business.
Well, how to monetize. They're looking at different ways.
Under monetized. That is such a.
Well,
did we determine if we can curse on this show?
Yeah, we can.
Oh my goodness!
Under monetized is such a bullshit term.
Yes.
Under monetized. Are you making money? Yes. Are you making a profit? Yes.
We're not under monetized. Well, listen. The Bank of America and Business Insider had an article, and they were quoting Bank of America. Bank of America said the problem with Hasbro at the moment is that they are over monetizing their Wizards division because it's the golden goose and it's the only division that's making profit, and therefore they're trying to squeeze more golden eggs out of that goose's ass. Where's more eggs? And they're saying that for the short-term gain, they're expecting they're going to hurt themselves long-term, and that's why they are forecasting a 29% cut in the Hasbro share price.
And maybe I'm old-fashioned, maybe because I'm an archaeologist and I tend to think in older manners. But if you make a really good product and you're already the Kleenex of your industry, where you're a catchword for your very industry that you're in, and you make a solid product that people are going to want to buy and want to tell their friends to buy, maybe you'll be monetized.
But you'd have to actually make that solid product. Now, something else.
And that's the key.
Right. If you look at, and I obviously did, every the OGL 1.1, 2.0, 1.2, and all their official announcements within that first 2 or 3 paragraphs, they used words like inclusion and bad actors. Inclusion, a more inclusive environment for gaming, and bad actors. Now, you've already described what a gaming group is. And a gaming group that forms organically is a bunch of people that bond over gaming. And I've had gaming groups in college and online, and these people are some of my closest friends 2 decades, 3 decades later. We never actually cared. When we were forming groups, 30 years ago, you found a gamer. I didn't care whether they were male, Hispanic, female, trans. I don't care if they had an extra hand growing out of the back of the head. They wanted to game. We were happy because we were all outcasts back then. See, now gamers aren't outcasts. Gamers are kind of socially acceptable by, I can't believe it, but they're socially acceptable by other millennials and such. They aren't ostracized for being a nerd. So maybe they are getting picky now about who they bring into their group. We want people that we meshed with. If you sat down at the group, you weren't an asshole, and you fit the group personality, you could have been green with purple spots, you were fine. Just don't smell. That was usually where we drew the line, and that's a gamer thing. But but you knew with Wizards of the Coast, they're throwing that line out. But I always, whenever I saw it so early on, it was, this is the the shield that we're putting up. This is the illusionary terrain that we're throwing out in front to not let you know what our real goal is, which is to remove third parties from the marketplace, move them into the DMs Guild, where we get with the DMs Guild. A great deal. Wouldn't you rather be in the DMs Guild? I don't know if you saw their chart. They had a chart talking about OGL and Creative Commons and DMs Guild. And it's all the great things about the DMs Guild. Oh, you get to sell in our marketplace. We will advertise for you. We might actually publish your work. They don't mention we take half your cover price. They don't mention that. They don't mention that you can't sell another version of that anywhere else. If you're selling in the DMs Guild, you can't sell a Savage World version of your product because you're locked within. They don't mention that. But that's what they were looking for. So everything else is cover and distractions for the reality, in my opinion. And they really did not think, they didn't care what the publishers were going to do. It's when the community got upset, when the community pushed back. And they were willing to lose some of the community. They weren't willing to have this much of a boycott of the movie, which was being brought up and was coming up on Twitter and the people dropping D&D Beyond, you actually got the average gamer involved. When does that happen?
That's the nicest rant you've ever had, Eric. That was no curse words and very logical.
Well, I tell one quick thing is I saw in the comments James Spawn is here.
Oh dear God!
And,
what about James?
I thought we blocked him.
Far too long since
he's not been blocked yet.
Since I've talked to you, and kind words indeed, but I think the industry is better because I gave you your shot.
Wow.
You do great work, James.
Maybe, perhaps.
I love the work you've done for me and the work you've done for others. And Skeeter, you do pretty good too.
Yeah, Skeeter's all right. But no, yeah, James, we reluctantly love James too. So yeah, that's that. I did not know that you gave James his first big break. I don't know whether to blame you for that or thank you for that.
That was when I was back at Cubicle 7.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So that was a while ago.
Wow.
But so you mentioned DM's Guild. When I started in this industry as a freelancer, and it's sadly an all too common experience with freelancers, is that you get screwed over by contracts.
Right.
None of the contracts that screwed me over were as bad as the DM's Guild contract. None of them were anywhere near as bad as OGL 1 point whatever they were coming up with.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the worst contracts I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Anybody who's a creative who signs those contracts is either foolish or desperate. But with the DM's Guild, maybe you're just doing this on a lark and you're not looking to make it into a career, and that's fine, and that's a good place for it.
And you want to write for Forgotten Realms. I always wanted to write an adventure with elements to rent, and this way I can legally do it.
Right, but you have other options if that's your creative outlet. If you take a look at the Savage Worlds community content, you get to keep your IP, and they take a lot less money.
Well, there you go, and that's really honestly the way it should be. Mm-hmm. Now, Mike and I have similar sources, and when this whole OGL thing was going down, we knew people that were basically being gaslit by their connections that was of the coach. We don't understand why people are so upset with the leaked OGL. I mean, it's a good contract; it's fair. It it's really not that different from what you already have. But listen, once you had to start reporting your earnings, even if they weren't taxing you, they wanted you to do all their market research for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, so zombie dinosaurs are selling big right now. Well, our next hardcover book is going to be zombie dinosaurs because look, Ken Spencer had one that made $150,000 on Kickstarter. Think what we could do. With our read,
our crack team of writers. Yeah.
All right. Our team.
The big thing is they would then own your IP.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's why every lawyer we saw. So, when you get online, everybody's suddenly an expert on something like Russian balloons go up, everybody's suddenly an expert, or Chinese balloons, everybody's an expert on Chinese balloons, everybody's an expert on the pandemic. Well, suddenly everybody was an expert on this, and you could tell the experts from the non-experts because every lawyer that was ever online said this is a horrible deal. It's terrible. No lawyer would ever have you sign it. So that's when you'd have to start saying, is this guy a shill for WotC? Because they're obviously dumb because the lawyers are saying this is a terrible deal, or are they just doing this on purpose because they're a shill? I mean, that's how obvious it became that was such a terrible deal they were throwing out there.
Yeah. I want to apologize. I gestured to my son to crawl across the floor, and apparently he barrel rolled for some reason.
Yes.
I think there's a terrorist holding the hostage on the other side of the house.
There you go.
Do you have to leave anytime soon, Ken? Can you stay with us?
I could talk for a little bit longer, but it's dinner time these parts.
Do you want to go over the latest WotC stuff, Eric, now, or you want to wait till Ken leaves, or what do you want to do with that? Because Ken's got some good. He's got some mojo here. He's got some good points.
He's got some mojo.
He's got some.
I don't
mojo going
know.
here.
You haven't had me on for 2 years, so maybe you.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
build up.
We got some. You're giving us some good stuff.
I've
some
ran
good stuff
7
here.
or 8 Indiegogos and a Kickstarter since then.
Well, it's just when we sometimes we have people.
Then get my
on.
Tinker's bump.
Oh yeah, of course.
Ooh,
I mean,
that's
obviously, yeah.
sexual, dude. Hold on.
Is that a thing still or not? Does that really happen?
Bump? I don't know about that. Jesus. John Miller wants to know what work you did for Cubicle 7, by the way.
Well, I did Rocket Age,
Mm-hmm.
which I then, when I left Cubicle 7, I bought out all of Rocket Age and took it with me and started Why Not Games. I worked on World War Cthulhu Cold War, and I did quite a bit of work on some of the later One Ring adventure supplements, that sort of thing. But I did the meat of the work for Adventures in Middle Earth, the 5e Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That's an impressive catalog of work.
Well, that's what's so funny. And somebody had said this earlier. I think it was Oren had said earlier. You know, the problem. One of the problems with WotC is their writers. I would put Ken up, and this is not just because Ken and I are buddies or we worked with Frog God. I'm sorry. I would put Ken up against any writer that's written anything for WotC the past 2 years, and I would bet all my money on Ken. And that for the same for most people who work for Frog God. They have. And we've talked about this before too. They basically all their best writers don't work for WotC. They have either gone on to work for third parties or they formed their own companies, and that's a major problem when you have all the best writers. You know, I mean, I haven't even seen Ken's latest Indiegogo, and I will tell you right now, it's better than the last 5 things that WotC published. Well, I will tell you unequivocally, it's better than. Gilded Tower and Strixhaven and
Mike. The reason Ken is hired and paid because he is a skilled creator / writer. All right. They have not been paying for skilled creators / writers. They've been paying for people that will fill in marks on a checklist that give them what they feel is clout at this point. People you've never heard of filling up a book about, I don't know, baristas. I don't know how many people are looking to buy that, but traditional gamers are not, and you still have traditional gamers, even in 5e, as your main market. Now, I know they're trying to shift it in a different direction. I don't know where it's going to land in the end. I suspect if it bottoms out, they're going to shift back to where they were because that's where the money is going to be. You know, that they're.
Well, yeah, you'll have one of those typical where they come in, fire everybody, say we're sorry. They'll hire a bunch of decent writers for a while, but it'll drift back to where let's put out a book about Harry Potter D&D because Harry Potter's hot, right? And
Harry Potter,
and they put out what their Harry Potter version of D&D. How many years after the last Harry Potter book and movie?
Good, yeah, that's a great deal. Yeah, good deal.
Come on,
it was terrible.
No, remember the Christmas firings at WotC?
Oh,
how many years in a row?
It was a joke on my blog, Tenkar's Tavern. I would start off December by going, waiting for rumors on the latest WotC.
They never disappointed every Christmas.
You know, and it was just like, and it was always big names. It wasn't like, I don't know who the hell this is. It's like, holy shit, who's left? And then you're like, who's left? And then next year you go, they have nobody left. Wow, they must have hired people just so they could throw people out right before Christmas.
You know what? Okay. I'm gonna use a sports analogy here because I'm sportsy. So they remind me of the Cincinnati Bengals in the '90s. Now, hear me out here. So football team
belly crawling under the wires to make sure he doesn't end up on camera.
So Bengals in the '90s were a horrific football team, and the reason being is the owners found out it didn't matter if they actually spent any money on the team because the NFL would cut them their percentage of the check that the league earned every year from merchant sales, and they got a certain percentage. The league actually had to go in and threatened to take the team away from them because they had been so bad for so long. They actually had to come in and try to take the team with them to get them to actually spend money on the team. That's what this sounds like to me. It sounds like every year let's actually fire the guys that we're actually paying, that are actually good, because we don't care. We're 5e. We'll sell enough copies. We don't need good writers. We just need writers. They don't have to be good at anything.
We can use AI art now for the covers because they almost look like AI art.
They're the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, they're the 90s. No, I'll say the 90s Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are pretty good now, but this is the 90s Cincinnati Bengals. That's exactly what these idiots are.
I've had people go, well, I think this is the first step before they unload Wizards of the Coast. They're never unloading Wizards of the Coast.
No, that IP is far too valuable.
Making them money
far too valuable
of any amount right now. Now, do I think that they could do like I don't know, what's that British company with the War and the Hammer IP that stopped
you're so bleak.
Publishing RPGs like a decade ago, yet their RPGs are still published on the license. I could see them saying, you know what, we'll keep D&D on the VTT side, and there's a movie franchise, and there's a TV franchise, and there's a fiction franchise, but we'll farm out the tabletop because we are really not that concerned about that. That's not where the money is going to be, because I personally see them putting the 5.1 SRD into Creative Commons. It was kind of like saying, we're not worried about tabletop. We should never have been worried about tabletop.
Mm-hmm.
Worry about your own product. Worry that 6e is the best game you can possibly make. And that's what they need to be worried about, not what came out 20 years ago. Worry about what you're doing now. Don't worry about. Well, that tells me lack of confidence. That shows me lack of confidence.
Well, their now is going to be primarily focused on the VTT, because then they can give subscriptions to everybody, including the players. Remember, the players are under monetized by far because they don't have to buy shit. They buy dice that aren't WotC dice. And they buy paper that they're like the local Dwayne Reed or Staples or Amazon. There's nothing to sell them unless you're buying movie tchotchkes. Now you can buy character folders and a lunchbox probably and other assorted shit.
Well, the lunchbox, the character folder, that's the sort of thing that they need to, if you ask me, that they need to focus on once they get producing games and books that people want to buy and read and play.
Right.
But what got me the most about this is the dumbest way you can try and fix your under monetization problem. It's like they chose the worst idea out of the bucket.
Because I think, Ken, the other ideas would have had to admit that they were doing a crappy job.
Well, I don't think so. I think that they had a perfect model and they just don't know enough about the industry to go with it. Look at Games Workshop. You mentioned the Hammer, right?
Yep.
Okay, so it has probably been 12 years since I last played a game of 40K or Fantasy Battle, right? But if I'm walking, so I'm not a target audience. Okay, I've moved on. I play different war games from other companies. I'm not their target audience. But if I'm walking through the bookstore and I see a new Cyphus Kane novel, I'm buying it and they're getting my $20. And that's what they should be looking at. They should have been looking at this model of a sustainable, profitable business within the industry and how that they create a community that branches beyond just the game into and beyond the lifestyle idea, but into ways to turn that IP into a profit that reaches far beyond gamerdom. And then you cast a bigger net, you bring in more money, but that requires creative work.
It does, but they didn't want to do that creative work. My thoughts, even before the OGL 1.1 was announced, is that I thought we weren't going to see an OGL, at least initially. 5.1 took us 15 months to get an OGL. I figured one D&D, they would try to smush as much of the third-party market into the DMs Guild and try to get even the maybe not mid-size, but larger, small-size third-party publishers to use the DMs Guild, give them basically easy, free money, And what the DMs Guild, you don't have to report sales because you already know what you're selling because they're in that market. Just an aside. And they're already getting between them and drive-through half your money. I also figure by that point, since drive-through and Roll20 are the same company, by the time one D&D comes out and their own VTT comes out, they are going to likely withdraw DMs Guild from drive-through. I have no inside knowledge, folks. I'm spitballing. When I do this, though, I get angry PMs from people because maybe I get too close. But I would guess that they would at that point move the DMs Guild under their complete ownership, like they bought out D&D Beyond, and therefore they get the full 50%. And they're not writing. They don't have to do anything.
Well,
run a server.
Why 50? They can make it 75.
Well, that's what they could have done with 1.1. We can change this contract with a 30-day notice and make it anything we want.
And then pilfer everybody's creative juices to create an IP and spawn off a novel series, a TV show, a Netflix original series, whatever they want from whatever ideas look good and sell well. And if they could pull that off, then that would be brilliant, but they can't.
No, they can't. And right now, I do believe there's a big pivot going on at Wizards of the Coast because no matter what they're saying, 1.1 was only a draft. No, 1.1 was the business plan.
No, we know that's a lie, and we know that's a lie. That's what's so annoying is that they are lying. They're straight-faced lying.
Yep. So 1.1 was the business plan, and now they have to find a way to compensate for that business plan, which is why I believe they're going to go whole hog into the VTT and the digital marketplace because that is something that they control, no middleman, and it's going to be interesting. And they're sort of saying that one D&D will be the final D&D. They've been hinting at that one D&D will just organically change. It's like 1984. No, these are the rules.
How are you going to do that if you're ever going to publish anything in print?
I don't think they really plan on.
I don't think they're big on print. They don't seem like they are.
Could be an afterthought, and maybe they'll update the print books every year or two. But that's
well. And here's my question: if you're not going to be in print and you're just going to be online, if that's going to be your main focus, where are you going to get new players?
Even if you're playing at the table, they're going to expect you to have your tablet and connected to D&D.
Come on, man! The whole world's moving online. We're all going to be hooked up to VR machines.
But where are you going to get new players? Who's going to go to the game store and show someone how to play the game?
How dare you be logical, Ken? Stop this! Stop it!
Who's going to walk past a display at a bookstore? Because guess what? There are still bookstores and see something and buy it.
But Ken, you missed their earlier announcement, right? How they're pivoting. So right now, the preferred method for you to buy your D&D books are directly from Wizards of the Coast. Because if you buy directly from Wizards of the Coast, you get the bundle. And when you get the bundle, you get your D&D Beyond content of that very book 2 weeks before release. So you're the first kid, adult, jackass, whatever, fanboy on your block to get Tenkar's terrible toilets and treasures.
Oh, I'm signing up for that one.
And you get it, right? And you have it. And now you have it 2 weeks before everybody else because you got it right from Wizards. They don't care about giving you the digital content because they got to sell you a book without having to mark it down to go to a distributor or an Amazon prices. And you got stuff 2 weeks early. So, of course, you're happy. Maybe, theoretically. Content probably sucks, but you're still happy. And when the VTT comes out, you can be guaranteed they're going to bundle the VTT content into that.
Oh, yeah.
So
Peter Green saying new
fuck, just like they said fuck you to the community and creators with OGL 1.1 and beyond. They were already saying that prior to that to the friendly local game store.
Peter Green saying new players come from watching people play D&D. Yes, they do. But how much? How many of our new players? What percentage is that? And those are things nobody really knows. That is going back to my archaeology days. That is a wall that you find. You hit with your shovel. Doesn't mean you've got a building. It means you've got a wall. It's a data point that there is nothing saying. There is nothing saying there is data other than We know players are coming from that venue, and great, we want those players. But there's a lot of other people out there.
Yep.
And a lot of people playing. We don't even know how many people play D&D.
There's never been an accurate
it's
never been an accurate study of that. And I always think it's funny when they go, we think that X amount of our players are, let's just say, female. They don't know. They really don't know, because there's no way of keeping an accurate track of a game that's played online, a game that's played in thousands of basements around the United States, or game rooms by people. There's never been an accurate study of, exactly who is playing the game. So whenever they come out with one of those pronouncements, I just have to roll my eyes, because I don't think they don't know. They really don't know who's playing their game exactly. Right. They can guess. They can guesstimate. I mean, you could go to Gen Con, look at all the people there. That's still a guesstimate. I mean, these are all guesstimates.
Exactly. And what's the standard group look like? There is no standard group.
Nope. There's none. There's never been one. Yeah.
I mean, right now I can tell you the standard group has we got what? 4 women, 3 men, and a teenager. That's our group.
I mean,
the average age of women in our group is 40.
Well, apparently, according to Kyle Brink, the average group is a bunch of white guys playing in their mom's basement. So, I mean, I don't think he's with the program.
Exactly.
I don't think he knows what he's talking about, because that is such a stereotypical, Big Bang Theory.
He did say it's the stereotype, and we got to get away from that stereotype. So I can't wait for people like me to leave.
I don't think I've ever seen that stereotype. I've been gaming since 1984, and there's only been a few times in my life where the group has been all white males.
Yeah.
I'll say that my group right now is all white males, but the reason my group is going is it's my original gaming group that we've all got together and decided we're going to play. And that's the reason it's all white males. It's my original gaming group. And then so that we're just doing it. It's a nostalgia thing. It's a total nostalgia thing. I would love to have another group that I could do, but I barely have time for one group. But if we had another group, I'd invite anybody that wants to play. But this group, so I will say that we're the stereotype. We're playing in it.
Gaming group was multi-ethnic. I mean, there were people whose parents immigrated from 4 different countries.
We had
in addition to people who were native born for generations.
Okay, I take it back. I say 4 white guys. One guy's an adopted Brazilian, and he came from a white family, but I forgot he's from Brazil.
Oh.
But other than that, we're all whitey. We're all white, the white devil. So
I've had women in gaming groups. Like I said, I started in 84. I've had women in gaming groups since 89. And the reason we didn't have any women in our group from 84 to 89 was because we were afraid to talk to girls.
Exactly.
The earliest we had a girl in my group was 1981. It was the girlfriend of one of my friends. He came to play D&D. He brought his girlfriend. He ended up quitting, and she played with us for 2 more years. And he was like, "Is Denise still playing with you guys?" Yes, she's awesome. Of course, she's still playing with us. But so yeah, it's. Look, these pronouncements are made by people. You can tell immediately they don't know what's going on in the hobby. Mm-hmm. They have no clue when they throw something like that out. It's like a tell. It's like a poker, a tell. When they say, "Oh, yeah, all the old white men in the hobby," ding, this little bell should go off in your head, and you know that they've never actually, been to a convention and seen the, people that go to conventions. They've never probably actually sat at a table in a college. I mean, go to college campuses and see who plays. I mean, it's the most multi-ethnic, multi-racial, multi-everything that you've ever seen. And so this is just bullshit they throw out there because they don't know. And I'll say something. I probably have a different opinion on Kyle's comment than a lot of people. And this is probably totally different from most people. I think he had a panic moment and he said something stupid. I don't know if he even really believes that. I think it sounded to me, because I watched it over and over again, it sounded like he panicked and didn't really realize what he'd said. And then he said it and he immediately couldn't take it back. And so he was screwed. He was screwed from that moment on. He knew he was screwed. And so he just kept pushing ahead, trying to get away from it.
I can recall not that long ago, I was the only guy in a group, and from DM on down, the rest of the players were all women, and that's not that unusual. And I live in the middle of nowhere. I mean, if there's a bright light in the center of the state of Indiana, I'm in the town farthest from it.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, nice.
You know, and we have managed to have diverse groups. So I think that's probably the rest of the gaming community, at least the majority of it is. And like you were saying, do you want a game?
Yeah.
Because that's the criteria for most gamers
Sure.
I've met is, do you want a game? What do you play? I've seen people fall all over that second question. What do you play?
Or
Right.
yeah, or what edition you want to play? Because I have
Mhm.
seen very selective gamers where they're like, okay, we're only playing like 2nd E or older. Oh, well, I play 5E. We don't really want you in the group. That's the kind of people I've seen when they try to pick a group. Not, well, you're not, you're multi-ethnic. We're not going to have. No, I've never seen that. I've seen edition choosing. Like, we don't play the edition we choose, or here's the game style we play. We play this game style because I've had people leave groups over game style. Hey, there's too much combat. I like a little puzzles and traps. Oh, we don't really do that. Okay, well, I'm going to go play in Puzzle Trap Guys game over here because every game you have is kick down the door and kill all the orcs in the room. So
I hate to give Skeeter credit.
Oh dear! Oh, please don't.
Have you ever seen Wizards of the Coast exec at a convention? They don't do conventions, and that's just the execs, all right. Most
they have it for what? They have it forever. They haven't done conventions forever.
Mm-hmm. And when they stopped going to Gen Con, I thought, what's going on here? This is Gen Con. You're Wizards of the Coast. I don't care how much it costs for you to be here. I don't care if it's a loss because of sales.
It shows you what they think about.
You've got enough money. You can go ahead and take the hit.
You can hire interns to get a booth. You don't have to actually show up. Get interns to get a booth. Have Chris Perkins or somebody else make a guest appearance one day. That's all you have to do. But they're not even willing to do that. They won't even say, yeah, let's just have a booth and throw some people in the booth and at least pretend like we're into gaming. That's not what they're. That's not what they're.
Our first year at Gen Con is Why Not Games, and we hustled. There were 4 of us in a hotel room. We didn't eat at the food trucks. We ate at a crock pot. You filled it up before you left for the con. You came back. You had a stew, and you ate that stew every day. And you're happy you had that stew. And it rained and it snowed both ways. Anyway, the point is, show some hustle, Watsy. Come to Gen Con, go to conventions, have a booth, man it with some people who know what they're talking about, or even better yet, have some of your executives who have never touched a game before come and play.
Yeah.
Play in my game. I'll run it for you.
Know what the community looks like. All right. And by the way, the community is not necessarily the people that you see on YouTube or the loud voices on Twitter. Because if you just listen to the loud voices on Twitter and personalities on YouTube, you're not going to get a good view of what a community looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they are deceiving themselves by looking at this. And they go, oh my God, we're not represented. We look at Twitter and all these comments that tell us, what we have to do, and we're not doing it because it's so loud. Listen, go to gaming conventions, go to game stores, go and actually see what the community looks like. Don't be saying comments like, well, I can't wait till people like me are out of positions of authority, because if you actually meant it, Kyle, you'd be out of that position of authority. You would have stepped away from it if you meant what you were saying, but you don't mean it. And by the way, for those folks out there that are saying, oh, well, yeah, why is Kyle going on all these YouTube channels that have no subscribers? 3 Black Halflings, which, by the way, did a very good job in asking those questions.
They did a very good job.
Awesome job. Kyle, you did a great job not answering those fucking questions, by the way.
Yeah, they put him in a corner. They rope-a-doped him a couple of times.
This channel is not a huge channel. They have half my subscribers. He went on another channel that had half their subscribers. Didn't even break 800 subscribers. Why is he going on these very small channels? I suspect because he knows he can go on these small channels and say, I'm making the rounds, and not get seen by all that many people.
You know what? If they want to try D&D and they never played, these whoever it is at WotC is obviously out of touch with the community. You can easily find me, drop me a line, come over to my place on Sunday. The only rule is that we have 2 rules. You be polite, bring covered dish.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, we do
I'm in.
We do it right.
Mm-hmm.
This week is an appetizer bar.
See, and that's okay. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's why D&D is a social face-to-face game, because when we do our monthly D&D game, it's all about where we're going to have lunch in the middle of the game. And that's one of the topics of conversation the first 4 hours is where we're going to eat, and then we have break for lunch and we go to the newest sandwich shop, pizza, whatever. But yeah, it's not just about the game. These guys don't get it. And that's the problem. And that's what you have the problem with online gaming. Online gaming is great in a lot of ways. It allows people who don't have the ability, because like you said, Ken, you're in the middle of nowhere. There's some people in the middle of nowhere that don't have gamers anywhere around. And that's what they do. They game online. It's not a completely useless thing. It's very helpful. But it still, look, during the pandemic, I talked to so many people that gamed for the first time, that gamed a lot. They still miss the face-to-face interaction. They missed going to conventions. I mean, all that. They missed it because in the end, the game is a social convention. It's a social thing. And when you eliminate the social part of it, you're playing any other Microsoft, Xbox, PlayStation game online that you can. I mean, I play Xbox online. I talk to my friends on the thing and we talk. It's not the same though. Those are different friends than my D&D friends. They're totally different friends.
If I can interrupt you, I've been informed that my dinner is going to get cold and my friends are already cold. So
okay. Well, thanks for staying with us as long as you did.
Thank you.
We appreciate your
thank you for having me on. Just remind everybody to check out Northland Saga, Lord of Ice and Cold. It's our new Northlands adventure path. It's available in Castles Crusades, OSE, and 5e. It's on Indiegogo right now. It's funded, it's doing well, and if you like it, back it, tell your friends about it. You know what? Back it twice, get something for your buy your mom some Northland Saga.
Yeah, my mom is she's into it. Yeah, she's into that. Oh, by the way, and so Ken, I want you to get to work on Tenkar's Toilets and Treasures. I'm going to bring this up at the next staff meeting. I think this is going to be a boffo hit. Tenkar's Toilets and Treasures.
If Bill signs off on it, I'll write it.
You got to put your hand in the toilet. Your hand turns blue as you reach for the treasure.
Whoa, hey, stop writing our book. This is Ken's book.
Yeah, no spoilers. No spoilers. All right, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Later, Ken.
Argue with each other for another 15
great to have
minutes.
You on,
and y'all have a good night.
All right, man. Talk to you later. Night. That was Ken Spencer. Really, do we get to sign off a guest? Usually they're on. But Ken had dinner and look, it's food. It's dinner time. I get it, man. But no, Ken's actually stayed longer than he said he would. So we really appreciate that. He had some really good takes. Because look, you've heard Eric and I's takes a million times. It's great to have other people that are intelligent on here talk about this. But just to go a little bit more on the Kyle Brink thing, what you said about him appearing on shows that have about half your. Here's the deal. He's never going to appear on your show, Eric. You know that, right? Because
Rob Conley wants me to invite him, and I was like, calling Rob.
He would not.
Listen. Why would he come on a show where somebody says, "Dude, you've been fucking gaslighting the community"? Oh, that's the guy I want to go on the show with.
He would last one question on the show, and then it's I can't talk about that.
Yeah, it'd be like, sorry, what was that? What was? Wait. Is this like? Are we talking about the pandemic and Taiwan?
Taiwan. Having said that,
Taiwan does not exist. It's a country.
If he wants to come on the show, he's absolutely welcome to. But we will not censor any questions. And like you said, the three black halflings, they did a good job. I thought they hit him with some pretty hard questions. He totally avoided that. He started. I thought he was a politician. I thought I was looking at somebody from the U.S. government.
I would have made. I was kind of I wouldn't have made that statement. Would you like a little gaslighting? Can I get a little gaslighting? Do you need to heat your home? Because I got a lot of gaslighting.
I got some gaslighting. I have some gaslighting for you guys. Yeah.
Oh
they did a good job. I didn't see the other show you were talking about. I don't know which.
I listen. It's been linked to me. I was running around today. You were busy with your grandson. My son flew in today, so my schedule was a little up in the air. But I was. When Bank of America takes your stock and says you're going to lose about a 30 of value over the next year because you have disrespected your customer base, That's
And this just shows once again they've lied to you, folks, and they've lied to you because they said that none of the protests had anything to do with why they changed their mind. And they laughed and said, "Oh, we have 6 million subscribers to D&D Beyond. We lost 50,000. We don't care about 50,000." This is why you know it's all bullshit, because they've had financial fallout worse than they said they have. They're lying to you, and it continues. So if you get online, look, it's easy to spot the shills. You want to spot the shills. The shills are the ones sitting there going, "Watchy doesn't care about what you say. They're making billions of dollars. They don't care." They care. And the article that Eric showed you is why they care. It is having a direct financial impact on their company. And stockholders don't dig this shit, man. Stockholders do not dig this. And so that's my spot the shill lesson today. Anybody that's sitting there going, "Watsy doesn't care about this," that's bullshit. I mean, they absolutely care about this.
This is the paragraph. Mainly, Hasbro is attempting to squeeze out as much profit as possible from its Wizards products in the short term without any thought as to the long-term durability of its brands. And the over-monetization is irking customers. We remain especially cautious on Hasbro's Wizards segment given its over-monetization of Magic. Wizards recently tried a similar tactic with D&D, proposing a change to its license agreement, which led to substantial pushback from the community, including calls to boycott the D&D movie. Folks, those aren't just signs, okay? These are fluorescent. This is Times Square. It's just like somebody paying $1 million to put a sign up. They're putting a huge sign up that Hasbro is fucking things up. And by extension, that means Wizards of the Coast. For those that go, don't pick on Hasbro. They're innocent. Don't pick on Wizards of the Coast. It's innocent. It's Hasbro. It's Wizards. They're one and the same. Okay, until Wizards of the Coast gets sold off, which it isn't going to be, they're one and the same. Can I co-host if you have him on? Yes.
Yes. Oh, Ty, please live up. Yeah. No, don't worry. We'll you can appear in the comments and we're going to say exactly what you want to say. Believe us. But yeah, he's as I said to Ty right now, Kyle was a sacrificial lamb they threw out there. He knew he was going to be just totally curb stomped, but he drew the short straw. Maybe he forgot to empty the trash cans one night or something. Anyway, this is his punishment: is you've got to appear on all these shows and you're going to avoid commenting on anything. And by the way, you're going to be savaged in the OSR press, but you're just going to do this, right? And so he has thrown himself as the sacrificial lamb. They knew this was going to happen to whoever they picked. And he's doing his job. He's doing his job. His job is to get on there and get his ass kicked every time there's a show like this.
We have like a bidding war for co-hosts.
Oh, hey, maybe we can make a little money. Let's
Greg.
I kind of like the sound of this. Oh dear, Greg is. Oh yeah. Well, we'll just sit back and let Greg and Ty do the show, and we'll pick up.
We'll just be like.
Yeah, we'll pick up the steaming remains of what was left of Kyle afterwards. We'll just sweep those up and throw them in the dim because, I could not in good faith reach out to Watsy and go, "Hi, I am Eric Tenkar, and I'd like to have Kyle Brinks appear on our Talking Crit show on a segment this week in Wizards of the Coast." Stupid. He's a guys. Look, like I said, I have a different opinion of Kyle than most people. It doesn't bother me because, look, this is just who they are. This is just some goofball exec they threw out there as a sacrificial lamb. He doesn't know anything. He was given a list of stuff to memorize. He was told to avoid these questions. This is business as usual for any big corporation. Politicians do it all the time. CEOs do this all the time. They avoid answering anything. They throw out a bunch of feel-good bullshit, and it's just business as usual. It's just, and I hate to see it because I think they should have been able to throw something substantial out there, but they've probably been told, look, mitigate the damage as much as possible. We're getting our ass kicked. So we need to mitigate the damage, make everything realize everything's just fine. It's okay. We're sort of sorry, but not really sorry. We're sorry that you're upset, but we're not really super sorry. This is just business as usual. I can't hate the guy like some people because I think he's a stooge.
I don't hate
he's
him.
a stooge. He's just a stooge, guys.
He's a white diversity hire, and that's where I feel.
He's a white diversity hire.
Because
Exactly.
apparently, he's saying he can't wait till all whites are gone from his position. There's only one in that position, dude. So you're either a diversity hire or you're long overdue to leave. Well, just step away.
Well, how about nepotism? You're forgetting nepotism. He could be somebody's
nepotism. Yeah,
he could be somebody's brother-in-law or son-in-law. You got to give your son-in-law a job.
You got to give my son-in-law a job.
My idiot son-in-law. I've got it. I know Watsy. He could be one of the Watsy guys.
Video games. He's played that asteroids thing.
I think he owns an Xbox. He owns an Xbox. He must know games. He knows an Xbox. Put him in the Watsy division.
He has asteroids. I keep on telling. He keeps on complaining. He has asteroids.
He has asteroids.
He has asteroids. So do you think you can get him a game at your Wizards of the Nuts?
Eric, if he had asteroids, I'd actually respect him more. That means he loves classic games. I'd actually respect asteroids. But no, he's a World of Warcraft. If anything, he plays World of Warcraft. I hear him
complain of his asteroids when he's in the bathroom all the time.
That's the wrong asteroid.
Yeah, it's the wrong air. But it's a video game, right? Because I hear the boop boop when he's in there. Or maybe it's plop plop. I'm not quite sure.
I wasn't surprised. Look, I wasn't surprised he made that faux pas. It was so funny to me how quickly everybody jumped on it because they realized what he'd said. And I'm sure when he got off the interview, the phone was ringing. His phone was ringing.
Right?
Did you see what you said?
That you should no longer be in your position. He can't wait for the last white man to close the door, basically.
He panicked. I guarantee you, this was a panic, and he said it. He knew he fucked up when he said it, and he couldn't backtrack. And I've seen this. You've seen it if you watch a not sports commentators, but a coach get up and accidentally say something, then try to backtrack it. Like, coach, your wide receiver seemed like he was dogging it today. Well. Yeah, and I talked to him about it. He wasn't really dogging it. His ankle was hurt, and
the ticket.
And so this is all this was. This was somebody that was supposed to say something, actually said something else, actually said what they actually thought or believed, or what they're told, and then like,
but Cynthia, you told me that you couldn't wait for me to be the last man in this white man's position.
You weren't supposed to say that. No, you weren't supposed to say it. That was not on your list of notes we gave you. You ad-lib. Why are you ad-libbing? We don't have you up there to ad-lib.
They didn't stick to the list of questions. They only told me there was going to be 5 questions. And I was ready for the question about the speed of a swallow. But they didn't.
They're supposed to give me softballs. What do they give me these hardballs for? They're supposed to give me softballs.
They even asked me why we wrote racist content that wasn't written 20 years ago, that we put the racist content in. So I did the best thing I could do. I threw over an unnamed experienced executive. I said, somebody with authority and time at the company made the decision, but he wasn't checked by one of our checkers. I did the right thing. I threw somebody under a bus.
Greg, I will agree. It's not an excuse, but I think it's the explanation. There's a difference between excusing and I'm not excusing him. I'm just saying this is what happened. So it just makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. I know people got really angry at this, but come on, you knew what they already thought about us. This wasn't a surprise, like a shocking surprise. Like, oh my God, that they hate us. Of course they hate you. They hate
gamers. They play games in the basements with litter pans right next to them. Trust me on this one. I was there. I lived it back in the day, but now I'm an executive at Woods of the Coast, and guess what? I can't wait to commit seppuku in my position and give my position up to somebody more qualified, somebody that was a barista in a previous life, and now writes D&D modules.
So Chuck Lorre, who created shows like the one with Charlie Sheen, but then he did Big Bang Theory. Look, that was not a loving show that loved nerds. He is on record not once but several times saying he hates nerds. He's always hated nerds. He thinks bullying nerds is cool, and you're supposed to be laughing at the characters, not with them. So I mean, that's what he thinks. I mean, that's what he believes. He doesn't. I don't think he really hides it. I don't think he really ever understood why The Big Bang Theory was successful. The writers are what carried that show, but Chuck Lorre's he's a dick, and he always, and like I said, he's always said that about the show. He didn't understand why people liked it because he hates nerds, thinks nerds are stupid. So this is just what they really think about you, and they can hide it sometimes when they're making money or when they're doing well. You know, I mean,
when they're in panic mode, they can't.
But then when they get panic mode and they say what they really think, they just throw something out there like that. And you can find the Chuck Lorre quotes. Go find. I mean, he doesn't respect gamers or egghead. He calls them eggheads. Eggheads and I was like, oh, they're all weirdos. And I mean, that's what these people believe. And so that it's not that hard to jump from Hollywood to CEO people. They don't respect you. They don't care about what you do. They just make fun of you behind your back, and they all think that you're white guys that live in your basement. So.
I was expecting to get ratioed in the likes and dislikes on that video they put up yesterday about Kyle. And I will say, surprisingly, 19 out of 20 were likes. So the dislikes were less than 5%. There were some people that claimed that I was purposely misinterpreting what he said. All right, listen. If Kyle had said, and maybe that's what he meant to say, listen, I believe that minorities and women and others that are often overlooked are underrepresented in Wizards of the Coast and other positions of authority in gaming, and I believe that we should do what we can to empower them and put more people from these overlooked communities into positions of authority. That would be fine.
There was a way he could, yes, absolutely way he could have said it. Right.
Without saying these white guys in basement stereotype, which is a horrible stereotype, and he's saying it's a horrible stereotype. It's no longer true. Saying it was true.
I've never had a basement. I played D&D for 50 years. I've never had a fucking basement.
Oh yeah, you're in Texas. You don't get basements.
I'm Texas. We don't have basements in Texas. So it's just the stupidest stereotype ever.
Right.
It's just
and so instead of telling you how you can lift people up and help them become authorities, right? Instead, he wants to, and this is my interpretation, he wants to put his foot to the neck of somebody and hold them down and have others walk over. All right? Why do you have to put somebody down?
He panicked because he panicked. He tried to say, I kind of agree with that, and that I don't think he meant to say that. He obviously didn't mean to say that, obviously.
I don't know. I don't know.
He panicked. No, I think he panicked. I think he panicked, and he missed. But look, people misspoke. Watch every episode of this show we do. I'm sure I've misspoke on 4 or 5 occasions.
So there's misspoke. There's also, listen, he took a stereotype, all right, which we all know stereotypes are horrible. Right. Whether you're stereotyping a race, a segment of society, old white gamers in basements. When you stereotype, you're doing a disservice. So he did that disservice, and that was it. Start from. But when he said, "I can't wait for people like me," and I'm pointing at him when I'm doing it, pointing at me. People like me, Kyle Brinks, to be out of.
Wait, well, hold on. Maybe we're reading this wrong, Eric. Maybe he's actually our friend, because maybe when he said people like me, he meant assholes. He wants assholes out of the hobby, like me, rich executives who don't know anything about the game. I want people like me out of the game. Maybe we're reading this wrong, Eric. He could be a hero. He could actually be so self-aware that he realizes he doesn't want to be in the hobby.
I don't want corporate ass.
Yes, he's so self-aware. He knew this. See, we're reading him wrong. Oh man, we've been reading him wrong the whole time.
Maybe Kyle has spent. Now I'm going to guarantee you he never shows up in the show.
Kyle, we apologize. We've been reading you wrong the whole time.
Right.
We're sorry
I guess
this.
Kyle has spent too much time tossing salads of corporate execs, and now realizes people like him could not be in a position of authority.
Oh.
That, by the way, folks, there we go. I guarantee you he's not coming on the show. Okay, and I don't blame him in one bit. Although this is all said in jest, they're just enough to make it funnier because it's just a little bit not in jest. But Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna reiterate. I don't feel any hate toward him
No,
or
no,
whatever. I just roll my eyes and say, yeah, this is, you just need to expect this. This is what we got. And look, they did it. They did. I wouldn't say they did a good thing. They did the right thing by saying we'll still respect the OGL. Now they did the right thing for them, not us. That was the right thing for them because they do not want this movie to tank. Because if you noticed, right before this happened, the boycott the DD movie was already starting, and people like Jenny D and big bloggers and streamers were getting all behind this. This was going to be a tsunami. It was. Have you seen what people do to ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and Amazon when these people get started? Those get downvoted, and I know it's not fair and it's not ethical, but they will downvote the hell out of those movies. And the one thing you don't want to see is your new $1 billion D&D movie downvoted to 3 on Rotten Tomatoes because everybody's on there going, boycott D&D. So this was they did the right thing because it was right for them.
Right.
The Creative Commons thing was the right thing for them too, because I think an adult in the room, walked in and said, "We don't care about the older game. Let's make sure the newer game is the best game. Why are we wasting time? Why are we wasting time on the old game? We're getting rid of the old game. Concentrate on the new game. Forget about trying to monetize this bullshit."
Did you see his quote about SRD 3.5?
I saw it, but I don't remember. Go ahead and educate
it was like,
me.
Oh yeah, we want to put the 3.5 and I guess the D20 Modern under the Creative Commons.
Creative Commons,
but we want to do it right.
Oh, fuck up on deck. Fuck up on deck. They're gonna fuck this up. Yeah,
we already fucked up the first one. Strad Creative Commons. Forgotten Realms.
I love the way that Ty Beard's like, either way, Kyle sucks. If he said it intentionally with his ass hat. Ty, have you ever met other lawyers in your profession? You may have seen this before. This is just what happens when people think they're smarter than they really are, which a lot of lawyers do, and they just speak from the quote unquote the heart. They don't speak from their script. And he went off script, and I think he misspoke. And so now we know what they really think, which we already knew anyway, folks. So. Don't act too outraged. Don't get too outraged.
No. Sorry. Don't act too surprised. You can be outraged.
Yes. Oh, I'll be outraged. Okay.
It's a secret that's now out in the open. You can be outraged by that, and just that, I am surprised. Listen, it's. I just saw a YouTube video on TV series V, the original one, and once they're revealed for what they are. It's out of the bag, right? It changed.
Spoiler: they're lizard aliens. Spoiler.
They eat like rodents.
A 40-year-old spoiler there, but yes.
Still hot in those sexy jumpers.
Oh yeah, but the actress. Oh yeah, she was.
Yeah, I'll take the fake flesh for 100, Pat. But you know what they are now. They've revealed the true colors. They can backtrack. They can promise you that the cookbook of man is not really a cookbook of man, right? How to serve man.
Greatest episode ever.
How to serve man. Oh,
it's a cookbook. Oh, another spoiler. 50. That's a 60. That's a 50-year-old.
Yeah, you haven't figured that one out. We're sorry. Yeah. By the way,
it's a cookbook.
There's something on the wing. It's another one.
60-year-old spoiler. We're sorry if you haven't seen it by now. We're just ignoring your feelings totally.
Yeah,
go cry to your mommy. We don't care.
I mean, once here we'll do a more recent spoiler. Bruce Willis is really dead. Okay.
Oh, that's only 20 years. Come on, man. 20-something years. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
You should never go forward thinking that Wizards of the Coast cares about you as part of a community. They don't.
No, not. Look, should we be really honest here?
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily really ever. I mean, maybe a little more in the old days, but read Peterson's book. They never really cared that much.
No.
They've always been about making money, like any corporation. They're a corporation. They've always been about making money. Yes, in the social media days when you didn't really know how these guys felt about you and you didn't know some of the creators were just absolute asshats, you probably thought you were all one big happy family and you believed all the editorials in Dragon Magazine that said how much they love you guys, this, that. But it's been like this since 1979, 1980. It's just the gaming industry. Your money. I mean, you spending money is what they're trying to do. So it's just more obvious now because we know so much more and we know the creators. And in my case and Eric's case, we've talked to these guys who used to work at TSR and used to work for WotC, and we see them at conventions and they tell you stories and you realize that it's always been a tough business. It's always been, I remember talking to a TSR creator who I won't name, who's been in the business a long time. And I asked him, what was it like when Lorraine Williams took over the TSR? I mean, was there this, that? She goes, we didn't care. We're getting a paycheck. I mean, that's, right. And so, it wasn't all about, oh my God, they fired Gary. This is so awful. It was like, oh, new boss, same as the old boss. Okay. Whatever. I'm getting a paycheck. I'm doing okay. Get Gary, sad for Gary, but I got a job here. And that's just the way things were. And this person was afraid to say that for years because it was so much like, oh my God, you should have all quit when Lorraine took over. You should have walked out and supported Gary. You mean the Gary that was in Hollywood for 2 years, token and hookers?
Right.
Yeah, that was the guy who. Yeah, no. It's always been a business, folks, and I know some people sadly believe it wasn't, but no, it's always been a business. That's just the way it goes.
Companies reach a certain size and they lose that personability. When you can no longer hang out with the company's CEO at your local gaming convention, they're probably no longer a company that gives a shit about you.
Mm-hmm. Once you get to where you have, full reveals, Frog Guy Games has stockholders, but believe me, we are not in there yelling at Zach and Bill, we don't met whatever. I mean, it's more of a this means the company belongs to you thing. Once you get stockholders, things change a lot because it becomes we got to make the stockholders happy. And look, I'm not telling anybody. If I'm telling you something you don't already know, you're 13 years old. I mean, this is just business 101. When you get stockholders, you have to make stockholders happy, which sometimes means choices that are made that aren't creatively aligned. They're more monetarily aligned. And that's just what happens. And, unless you're a good company like Frog Guy Games is, where we're like, we're making money. It's cool, but we're still about putting out great product. I mean, we're not about, look, if we were just into making money, we put out Rapid Athic Part 75. We've been doing a Rapid Athic every year.
Right.
That's actually a good idea. I need to talk to Zach and Ken about that. Rapid Athic every year. Well, anyway, but we're not doing it. So yeah, we're putting out what we think is the best product, not just like, hey, let's give the people what we think they want. No, we're giving the people what we hopefully they want, which is good writing by good artists and good writers, or good product by good writers and good artists. So, you're going to see, look, in the weeks and the months to come ahead, leading up to our glorious 50th anniversary next year, you're going to see more occasions like this, where a WotC executive marching along trips and their foot goes right up their ass. Their head goes up their ass, their foot goes in their mouth, and then their head goes up the ass. This is going to happen, right, Eric? I mean, this is going to happen in the next few weeks and months. It's going to happen again.
Listen, this is the year of WotC already. And it's not going to be for good stuff. Sorry.
Kyle watch Mazes and Monsters. Hey, why not, man? Mazes and Monsters is a great movie. But no, yeah, he probably that's his one impression of D&D. Like, oh, it's Tom Hanks running around in a cave system somewhere. So yeah,
it's awesome. Kyle,
if it was only Mazes and Monsters looked fun, that would be cool. If it was Mazes and Monsters, I'd love to run around in some caves. That sounds kick ass. Yeah, the difference between Frog God and Watsy is the difference between a high-class hooker and a common streetwalker. I'm sure Frog God management will love to know that we're being compared to high-class hookers. Thank
Not
you,
that he
Tom, for
speaks
that.
from experience, but
Yeah,
just
thank
noted.
you.
Yeah,
I will do anything for money, so that's probably true. But I have my limits. I have my limits.
High limits, but they're limits.
Yeah, barely limits, but yes, I have some. High class hooker. I can't wait to throw that one to Zach and see what he says.
Yeah, high class hookers.
We're high class hookers. We're not street tramps. Come on, man. We're doing great. That's what the public thinks about us. They compare us to high class hookers. We're not even hookers. We're call girls. Come on.
Listen, Bill Webb already walks around at conventions in bathrobes and clogs.
I think he's cleaned up his act. I believe he will be gay at Gary Con, and he will not. He will be wearing regular clothes. We've talked to him about that.
Oh my God! All right.
He actually wears real clothes and does that. So
Peter Pan is growing up, folks. Now I'm going to be very depressed because I used to always just be like, oh, everything is right in the world because there's Bill. And you're telling me I won't have that anymore. I feel very upset. I'm going to bring a tear to my eye. I'm going to get overclamped and have to blow my nose.
Yeah, we look forward to Watson giving us lots of subscription boosts and rating boosts as the year goes on, because this is going to be an ongoing issue. Because when you see this kind of thing happen, it's only a matter of time before they fuck up again, right? I mean, it's just going to happen again because
it's not even again; it's just continuing.
Yeah, and so
they have to stop fucking up for them to have it again. This is just a continuation.
Oh, thank you, comments in this. You guys are on your game tonight. Damn, there is some great stuff in the comments. I think having Skeeter here is up to everybody else's game.
Yeah, they're like, I gotta be at least as funny as Skeeter.
No, Skeeter doesn't usually show up. Skeeter's here now, so we gotta make class this up, man.
Yeah, we might have to have Skeeter on us. Well, I think we're gonna have a very booked month for the rest of this month. I think.
Oh, we should talk about. We have got. Can we talk about our special guest tonight or not?
Yeah, so next week is Stuart Robertson.
Stuart Robertson, who created the kick-ass OSR logo that everybody uses now, but he's also done quite a bit more than that.
Yeah, it's artwork and writing, and it's got stuff. I think he has a Kickstarter going on right now.
Yeah.
And then I think Rocky just pinged me trying to get in for the month, but I got to look at my list because I also know that we have James Shields, and I have somebody. Oh, and we had Courtney Campbell. So Courtney's probably going to be the week. I'm going to assume Courtney's going to be the week after.
I thought we didn't. I'm sorry. I thought we had Courtney Campbell on, but he was on the chat list.
Yes,
Thursday night chat last week, so we talked to him about that. Yes.
So we're going to have we're going to have people that are possibly opinionated.
Well, we're also gonna. I think if Watsy keeps on screwing the pooch here, we'll probably do kind of what we did with Cam. We'll do the first hour talking to our person, and if they want to stay on and continue to savage Watsy with us, they will be very welcome to savage Watsy, because I think Watsy will continually screw the pooch, or they can go to dinner with like Ken did and let us continue.
They didn't invite us to dinner, damn it. But,
so you're going to get 2 in 1. You're going to get a show about a great creative person in the community, and then you're going to get us beating up, punching Watsy in the nads.
This week in gaming, stupid, like we Wizards of the Coast.
It's just going to be a Wizards of the Coast type of year. This is kind of the whole year ahead of us right now.
Wizards, we'd like you to nominate a new personality at Wizards of the Coast to be the target of the butt of our jokes for next week. We will take Cynthia Williams. We'll take Chris Cox. Just the name alone, by the way, is something that we could not keep a straight face with if we could bring him on.
I heard a rumor that I won't even detail too much. That for the most part, the creative community at Watsy thought this was a terrible idea, except for a few very prominent voices, which I will not even name because this is hush hush. So, which I think is interesting because so most of the creatives were not on board with this. Said this is not going to be good. This is not going to work. This is really bad. Because have you heard any creatives come forward? No. This is all the communication we've had has been for upper level execs,
and then middle management.
And so we really haven't heard any creatives say anything. But behind the scenes, I've heard stories that they're not with this, except for a couple whose names you would recognize that I will not say, have said, "Oh, this sounded like a great idea," which means they probably own stock in the company and thought this is going to be awesome, kick-ass.
Yeah. It's like I was going to exercise my option on my shares.
It looked great. It looked great for a while. Yeah.
But then Hasbro stock started tanking. And I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't exercise the option.
I'm not happy anymore. Suddenly it's not a great idea.
I know who to blame. I'm going to blame Kyle. But not Kyle Banks.
No, they'll blame us. They'll blame
Kyle
Eric and
South Park. It's all his fault.
They'll blame us. They'll say, "Oh, it's those Tenkar Taverns guys, all the white guys over there. They're the ones doing this. This is all because they've already tried to throw the blame all around the place."
Oh yeah, the negative stock effect. We're going to take out a lawsuit on Tenkar Tavern because they're lowering our stock value 29% by their coverage. So, folks, yes, no, it's not the kind of reach we have.
This is not.
All right. And we don't give stock advice, by the way. We just
hey, whatever you want to buy, go for it. And I'll tell you something. I would honestly, I know we could never get this person because there would be zero reason they could ever appear on the show if they want to. But I went back and watched some Jenny D videos, and she really did the Lord's work for a while. I thought. I knew very little about her except she was a cosplayer. Most of my friends don't like her, so I just thought, well, whatever, I'll watch some stuff.
I liked her videos. I was surprised.
Yeah, I thought she did a good job of coming out and saying, "Look, here's what these guys are doing." And she had a much bigger reach than guys like Eric and I. I mean, she may have been responsible for herself for about 20 to 30,000 of those D&D Beyond subscriptions. I would love to have her on to talk about that. Like I said, there's no reason on earth she should appear on our show because we're like down here and she's like, but
I don't know if I want to lose subscribers by going on here.
Yeah, there would be no upside for her.
Oh no, we'd have to go. You do realize that our audience is 95% male.
Yeah.
You know what the conversion rate you're going to have is?
Now they'd be predisposed to like you, but the problem is your subscribers would hate our subscribers and they would just unsubscribe to you. So we can't really help you there. But
oil and napalm.
And then that might have been one of the greatest things about this, Eric, is the people that came out from all kinds of areas of the hobby that said this is a terrible deal. We need to look at this further and just came out and spoke the truth. So I thought that was really good. I thought that was a very come together moment of the hobby. And like Ken said in his example there, this is just another reason why it's such a great hobby, and we help each other because everybody comes out and says this is bad. This is bad for the hobby as a whole. Maybe it's good for me because I play Savage Worlds, I went to a few threads where people are like, I don't play D&D, I don't care, or I just play first edition still, so I don't give a shit. Well, that's like I said, my example is that your neighbor's house is burning down. You're like, my house is just fine over here. I have asbestos shingles. I guess you'll be sleeping in the driveway tonight, and that's not
your shingles will make it, but the rest of your house will burn down.
Yeah. Okay. That's not ever a good take. That's never a good take to.
Tom, Professor DM is actually a pretty busy guy. I would love to have him on the show. He doesn't do a lot of stuff live, so I don't know if he'll even do a live. Live is a very special thing where you have to have like the idea that you really don't care if you mess up and especially screw up a lot of monetization, which I currently don't have anyway, by saying something stupid like, I don't know, Nazi or something that rhymes with hunting.
Yeah. To pull back the curtain a lot. Like that's what I said about Jenny D. I enjoyed her stuff, but there's absolutely zero reason for her to ever be on our show. That really, I mean, and I'm just saying that. I'm not saying that meanly. I'm just saying there isn't. And so some of these people, there's zero upside, 100% zero, minus 100% zero upside to appearing on our show. And so it's cool to think we can get some people on. But Eric's right. Live is a different animal because you just don't know what's coming. You have to. It's a special talent. And I will say that I think Eric and I are pretty good at doing live stuff because we just jump around. But I've seen people that I thought were good, that did good, like blogs, but they're terrible live. They're awful live because they just have to go. I'll give you an example. I mean, I like, sometimes I like what Pundit says. He says he can have some really interesting stuff. I think his live stuff is just, I don't know, it just doesn't match the quality of his blog stuff at all. I mean, I just don't think his personality shines through it as. That's just my own personal opinion. Yeah. And so I think there's guys like that just don't do live that great.
And I think live works best with at least two floating heads.
Sure, yeah.
It allows me to spend time dealing with the comments. I often fall behind. I don't have L yelling at me this time that I'm falling behind.
Well, if you ever watch the old show Dateline, they had a rule is that you always had to have 3 guests at once. And the reason being is because there was always one was too few because you're just hearing one opinion of whatever the story is. And that was, nobody wanted to see that. The problem with having 2 was if they happen to agree, you had a terrible show. They happen to come on there, I think that's true. So if you had 3, their idea was at least one person's going to disagree. And if that happens, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be great. So that's why if you see Dateline, the very, very beginning Dateline shows always had maybe 1 or 2 guests, and they quickly moved to the format where there was 3. Now, the problem with having 3 is sometimes you had a 3rd guest that was the absolute third wheel that was just terrible and just was just like, oh my God, why did they have 3 on? But that's why they had 3. So Eric and I work okay with 3 or 2. Mm-hmm. We're good with 2 or
we're a well-oiled machine. If you want to see us go crazy, that's when you have the random party generator.
Oh my God, that's awesome. That's awesome too.
Yeah, it's like the Brady Bunch sometimes. When we had all the boxes filled, I was like, holy shit.
We've had some good shows. We had more. Was that show a couple weeks ago? We had more than you had ever had, I think.
Yeah, for a live stream.
Oh yeah, that was when Watsy capitulated. That was awesome.
Yeah, I think
beautiful.
Total views for that show, almost 1,200.
Jeez,
almost 1,200. Now for a live stream, that is.
I'm YouTube famous somewhere. By the way, I don't think I told you this, Eric. I had my granddaughter today said, "Papa, what's about this Watsy stuff I keep hearing about?" I'm like, really?
Really?
You? Because she's like 15 years old. She watches anime. She watches YouTube. She must have picked it. She said she picked it up somewhere. She's like, I heard a story about it, and I knew you would know about it. I'm like, do you really want to hear what's going on? Because I can tell you, but I don't know if you're going to be interested. But no, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Nice.
My 15-year-old granddaughter asked me about Watsy. So this is not just in our little hobby anymore. This is spreading, which I don't think Watsy wants to happen.
Didn't want that, man.
No, this is beyond their wildest dreams. It's escalated terribly for them.
Wow. I think it's wrap-up time, Mike.
Yeah, that's it.
We're nearing 2 hours and 20 minutes.
I mean, we could keep bashing Watsy for 2 or 3 hours, but it just gets old after a while. Yeah, it's just, we got to save material for Friday.
Material, folks. Folks,
you got the random party generator Friday. You got to have some.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot. We'll have more, folks. Don't worry. The link at the bottom of the screen that you've seen all episode, folks, is for the Pathfinder 2 bundle, that Humble Bundle. But that's my short link: tenkars-tavern.games Pathfinder 2 bundle. Go there. I'm going to tell you right now. You can grab it for as much as $25. It's $25 is worth it. You get a lot of stuff. But if you want to be the gamer cheap, I would say $5 is the sweet point. The beginner box, which I have in print, is amazing. Yes. You'll also get the core rules and the bestiary and a few other tchotchkes. Well worth your $5 investment. By going through that link, you do support the tavern. A few a percentage point goes to the tavern's pocketbook here. So if you want to support the show, easiest way to do so and get something while doing it. Other than that, North Texas is coming up, and
I want to register. We're getting
4 months.
Gary said this is the earliest. Well, I don't know how to put it. We've sold the most tickets the earliest this year than ever. This is our 15th year, so you may want to get in on the fun and games before all the games are sold out. Because so we sell half the tickets before April 15th, and then April 15th we let them all for free. They're all for free, and you can join up. So if there's a game you really, really, really want to be in, you might look at it now. Yeah, because you can pay $5 and get a guaranteed seat in that game. Otherwise, you're gonna have to wait for the cluster F of April 15th when everybody logs in.
That.
Oh yeah,
folks. Thank you to the live audience. We're still holding. Look at it, after 2 hours, we got over 30 people in the audience. You're insane, folks. You're insane.
Thanks, Ken Spencer. Thanks for coming on, Ken. Appreciate it.
Yep, great time. We've got guests lined up for at least the rest of the month, if not longer.
Mm-hmm.
So. And of course, Watsy, thank you so much for your entertainment. We wouldn't be where we are without you, Watsy. So
it's a banner year in the Tenkar Tavern household. Thanks to Watsy.
Thank you, Watsy.
We appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate all the business you're throwing our way.
Yep. So, folks, be safe, be well, God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. I will be back again tomorrow with some other random video. Also, Discord hangout tomorrow night, 9 p.m. at the Tenkar's Tavern Discord server, and a live stream at 8 p.m. on Friday, 8 p.m. on Saturday. See, we have a lot of live streams here. We're insane. All right. Later, folks.
Thank you. Thanks for everybody.